The book sailed through the air like a missile aimed directly at Donna Ponce's head. She ducked. The hardcover slammed into the wall behind her with a violent crack, leaving a dent in wallpaper that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. Donna straightened up slowly, her two braids swinging against her cheeks, her box braid bun slightly askew from the dramatic dodge. She looked at the book on the floor, then at the man in the wheelchair who had thrown it. "Oh, so we're throwing things now?" Her voice was sharp as broken glass. "That's how you greet people in this house?" Michael Gavin sat in his wheelchair like a king on a throne made of thorns and bitterness. 31 years old. Heir to a $4.2 billion tech empire. Caramel skin stretched over cheekbones that belonged in a museum. A sharp jaw covered in a 5 o'clock shadow that only made him more annoyingly attractive. Shoulders broad enough to block a doorway. Arms thick with muscle that strained against his black t-shirt. And those eyes. Dark brown shot through with flecks of amber, burning with enough fury to set the whole mansion on fire. 2 years ago, those eyes probably sparkled when he laughed. Now they just burned. "Get out." His voice was low and dangerous, each word a separate threat. "I don't need another useless stranger pretending to care about my recovery while mentally counting down the minutes until she can clock out." Donna crossed her arms over her chest. "Excuse me? I just got here. My bus ride was 3 hours long. I haven't even put my bag down yet, and you're already throwing books at my head? And now you're leaving. I don't need—" "Useless?" Donna stepped forward, not back. "Boy, I just dodged a hardcover from 6 feet away without spilling my coffee. That's not useless. That's athletic." Behind her, she heard Evelyn Gavin, Michael's elegant mother, gasp softly. Heard the housekeeper mutter something under her breath. Heard what might have been someone's jaw hitting the marble floor. But Donna didn't care. She was tired. She was angry. And she had not ridden a 3-hour bus to Newport, Rhode Island, to be disrespected by some bitter rich man in a fancy wheelchair. Michael's eyes widened slightly. "Did you just call me boy? Did you just throw a book at my head?" They glared at each other. Two fires meeting, neither willing to look away first. 3 days. Michael's voice dropped to something quiet and deadly. "That's my prediction. 3 days before you run out of here crying like all the others." Donna laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. 3 days? She stepped even closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his angry eyes. "I'll give you 3 hours before you realize I'm the best thing that's ever walked into your life." Dead silence filled the room. Then Michael smiled. It wasn't a nice smile either. It was the smile of a man who had just found a worthy opponent. "We'll see about that." "Yeah." Donna met his gaze without flinching. "We will." Now you might be wondering how Donna Ponce ended up standing in a billionaire's bedroom, dodging flying books and trading threats with a man who clearly wanted to set her on fire with his eyes alone. Well, honey, let me take you back 2 weeks. Because this story, it starts with betrayal. It starts with grief. And it ends somewhere nobody, and I mean nobody, expected. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button right now, because this ride is about to get bumpy. 2 weeks earlier, Donna sat alone in her childhood bedroom at 2 in the morning, holding her mother's photograph against her chest. The tears came like they always did. Silent, relentless, unstoppable. "I miss you, Mum." Her voice cracked in the darkness. "I miss you so much it feels like I can't breathe sometimes." The woman in the photograph smiled back at her. Clarice Ponce. Warm brown skin, kind eyes, the same beauty mark near her left eye that Donna had inherited. She had been gone for 2 years now. Cancer, aggressive, merciless. 2 years, and the wound still felt fresh. Donna traced her finger over her mother's face. "So everything's falling apart without you. Dad married Linda. Linda, Mama, my best friend. Can you believe that? 7 months after your funeral, he was already dating her. And now they have a baby. A whole baby. Like you never even existed." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, but more tears came. "I'm stuck in this house with them. Watching her sit in your chair, sleep in your bed, cook in your kitchen, and Dad just lets it happen. like our whole life together was something he could just throw away. She pressed the photograph closer. I'm so tired, Mama. I'm so tired of being angry all the time. But I don't know how to stop. She fell asleep like that, curled around her mother's picture, tears drying on her cheeks. Morning came too bright and too early. Donna dragged herself out of bed, splashed water on her face, and stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Her braids were messy. Her eyes were puffy. She looked exactly like someone who had cried herself to sleep. Again. She could hear sounds from downstairs. Pots clanking, a baby babbling. Linda's voice singing some annoyingly cheerful song. Donna's jaw tightened. She pulled her braids up into two buns on top of her head, letting two loose braids hang down to frame her face. Her signature look, the style her mother used to help her perfect. Okay, Donna, she told her reflection. Survive another day. That's all you have to do. She headed downstairs. The kitchen was warm and smelled like pancakes. Linda stood at the stove, her honey blonde weave pulled back in a ponytail, always wearing an apron that said, "Best wife ever." She was bouncing slightly to the music playing from her phone while she flipped pancakes. Warren Ponce sat at the kitchen table, feeding baby Harmony from a bottle. He looked up when Donna entered, his expression immediately shifting to something cautious and hopeful. Warren Ponce was 48 years old, but could pass for 38 on a good day. Smooth, dark skin, athletic build, charming smile that made women half his age act foolish. When Donna's mother was alive, that charm had been devoted entirely to his wife and daughter. Now it belonged to Linda. And the baby. Good morning, Donna. Linda turned from the stove with a bright smile. I made pancakes, your favorite, with the chocolate chips the way you like them. Donna walked past her without a word. I grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl. Linda's smile faltered but didn't disappear. Your father and I were thinking maybe we could all have dinner together tonight, like a family. We could order from that Thai place you used to love. I don't eat with strangers. The words landed like stones in still water. Linda set down her spatula. Donna, we've been married for over a year, 15 months. I'm not a stranger. Donna turned slowly, her eyes blazing with a fire she didn't even try to hide. You were my best friend, Linda. We made friendship bracelets together at summer camp. You cried at my mother's funeral. You held my hand at the burial and told me you would always be there for me. Her voice rose with each sentence. And 7 months later, you were in her bed, wearing her robe, making pancakes in her kitchen. So, yeah, Linda, you're a stranger. Because the Linda I knew would never have done this. Linda's eyes filled with tears. Donna, I love your father. I didn't plan for this to happen. Sometimes love just... Love? Donna laughed bitterly. You have a daddy complex. You've always gone after older men. My father was just the most convenient option because you already had access to the house. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Donna's voice cracked. My mother is dead, and everyone just moved on like she was nothing. Donna. Warren stood up, the baby still in his arms. That's enough. You're upsetting Harmony. And sure enough, baby Harmony had started to fuss, her little face scrunching up at the raised voices. Donna looked at the baby. 7 months old. Chubby cheeks, curly hair, big brown eyes that looked way too much like Warren's, yet way too much like her own. Something twisted in Donna's chest. Something that felt like longing and resentment and love all tangled together in a knot she couldn't undo. Harmony reached toward her, little arms stretching, little fingers grabbing at the air. She wanted Donna. She always wanted Donna. Donna turned away. I'm going out. Donna, wait. Warren tried to follow her, shifting Harmony to one arm. Can we please talk about this? I know I hurt you. I know the timing was... Timing? Donna spun around so fast her braids whipped against her shoulders. Timing? Dad, she was my best friend. You could have dated literally anyone else on the planet, and you chose the one person who would hurt me the most. I was lonely. I was grieving. We were all grieving. But I didn't go sleep with your best friend. Did I? Warren flinched like she had slapped him. Linda loves me, he said quietly. She's good to me. She gave me harmony. I thought, I thought maybe eventually you would see that we could still be a family. Congratulations on your new family. Donna grabbed her jacket from the hook by the door. Hope it works out better than the last one. She yanked the door open. Donna, she slammed it behind her. Outside, she made it exactly 3 steps before the tears started. She ducked around the side of the house, leaned against the wall, and let herself break down where no one could see. Mom, I'm so tired. She pressed her hand against her chest like she could hold her heart together by force. I'm so tired of being angry all the time. But every time I look at them, every time I see Linda in your house, touching your things, loving your husband, She couldn't finish the sentence. The back door creaked open. Donna straightened quickly, wiping her face, ready to tell whoever it was to leave her alone. But it wasn't Warren. It wasn't Linda. It was Harmony. Well, not just Harmony. Harmony in her baby swing that had somehow been moved to the back porch. She was alone for just a moment, someone clearly having set her there while grabbing something inside. The baby saw Donna and immediately started making happy sounds, excited gurgles, little arms reaching. Donna looked around. No one watching. She moved closer, almost against her will. Hey, little one. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You shouldn't be out here by yourself. What if a bird tried to snatch you, huh? You're tiny enough. Harmony giggled and grabbed at the air. Donna knelt down. I let the baby wrap her tiny fingers around one of her braids. It's not your fault. Donna's voice cracked. None of this is your fault. You didn't ask to be born into this mess. Harmony cooed and yanked on the braid. Ow, okay, strong grip. Despite herself, Donna smiled. You're kind of cute, you know that? I hate to admit it, but you're really freaking cute. The baby smiled, showing off her gummy grin. Donna felt her heart crack open just a little bit. I'm supposed to hate you, she whispered. You're the proof that Dad moved on, that Mom can be replaced. I'm supposed to hate you. Harmony blew a spit bubble. But I don't. I don't hate you at all, baby girl. She reached out and tickled Harmony's belly. The baby erupted in giggles, kicking her little feet. The back door opened. Donna, you still here? Linda's voice. Donna snatched her hand back like she'd been burned, stood up quickly. By the time Linda appeared on the porch, Donna's face was stone again. I was just leaving. She walked away without looking back at the baby. But she felt Harmony's eyes on her the whole way. That night, after another silent dinner she refused to attend and another screaming match she refused to apologize for, Donna sat in her room scrolling through job listings on her phone. She needed out. She needed money. She needed to finish her nursing degree and start her life somewhere far, far away from this house and everyone in it. She had been 1 semester away from graduating when everything fell apart. 1 semester. That was all she needed. But nursing school wasn't cheap. And when Warren had decided his new wife's shopping habits were more important than his daughter's education, the tuition checks stopped coming. Donna had begged. Actually begged. Dad, please, I'm so close. Just 1 more semester. Warren couldn't meet her eyes. Things are tight right now, Donna. Linda and I are still getting set up. Maybe you could take a break, get a job, save up. A break? I'll lose my scholarship if I withdraw. Then maybe nursing isn't the right path for you. That was the moment Donna realized her father had chosen his new family over her. She'd withdrawn from school, told Warren she was figuring things out, let him think she'd given up. But Donna Ponce never gave up on anything. She'd gotten 2 jobs, sometimes 3 on weekends, saved every penny while pretending to be the aimless, directionless daughter Linda loved to pity. But it wasn't enough. At this rate, it would take another year to save $15,000 for her final semester. Another year in this house. Another year of watching Linda play wife in her mother's kitchen. She couldn't survive another year. Donna scrolled faster. Waitress? No. Retail associate? Pays nothing. Data entry? Boring and still not enough. Then she saw it. Live-in caregiver needed Gavin Estate, Newport, Rhode Island requirements. Certified registered nurse. Salary $8,000 per month plus room and board. Immediate start. Donna sat up straighter. $8,000 a month. $8,000. Plus room and board meant no rent. No groceries. Pure savings. 2 months at this job, and she'd have her tuition money. 3 months. And she'd have enough left over for a deposit on her own apartment. By summer, she could be back in school and living on her own, and never have to see Linda making pancakes in her mother's kitchen ever again. There was just one problem. Requirements. Certified registered nurse. She wasn't certified. She was 1 semester short. In the eyes of the medical board, she was nobody. But she had 3.5 years of training. She'd done clinical rotations in actual hospitals. She'd cared for actual patients. She'd held her own mother's hand through the worst of the cancer treatment, administering medication, monitoring vitals, doing everything a nurse would do because they couldn't afford in-home care. She knew what she was doing. She just didn't have the paper to prove it. Donna stared at the job listing for a long time. This was fraud. This was lying on a professional application. This could ruin any chance of a legitimate career if she got caught. But staying in this house for another year, watching her dreams rot while Linda lived the life that should have been her mother's, that would ruin her too. She thought about her mother. The way Clarice Ponce had believed in her. The way she'd said, even at the end when speaking was hard, "You're going to be an amazing nurse, baby girl. I'm so proud of you." "I'm going to make you proud, Mom," Donna whispered. "Whatever it takes." She clicked, apply. 3 days later, Donna found herself on a video call with Evelyn Gavin. The woman on the screen was elegance personified. Dark skin that glowed like she'd never had a hard day in her life. Silver locks arranged in an elaborate updo. Eyes that should have been warm but looked tired around the edges. "Miss Ponce, thank you for applying on such short notice." Evelyn's voice was refined but weary. "I'll be honest with you. We've gone through 12 caregivers in the past 2 years. None of them lasted more than 2 months." 12? Donna kept her face neutral even as her eyebrows tried to climb into her hairline. "May I ask why?" Evelyn's expression flickered. Pain, exhaustion, something close to despair. "My son, Michael. He was in a car accident 2 years ago. It was raining. A deer ran into the road. He swerved to avoid it, and his car flipped twice." She paused, composing herself. "He survived, but the damage to his spine was severe. He's been paralyzed from the waist down ever since." "I'm so sorry," Donna said, and meant it. The paralysis changed him. Not before the accident, Michael was warm and kind. He ran the company, gave millions to charity, made everyone around him feel important. Evelyn's voice cracked slightly. Now he's just angry, all the time, at the world, at himself, at anyone who tries to help. I understand trauma responses. They can be unpredictable. Unpredictable is a kind word. Evelyn's smile was sad. He throws things. He says terrible things designed to hurt. The last caregiver left in tears after 11 days. The one before that didn't even make it through the first week. Donna thought about her own anger. The way grief had turned her into someone who picked fights at breakfast and slammed doors and said things designed to wound. Maybe she understood Michael Gavin better than Evelyn realized. "Mrs. Gavin, with all due respect, I've been dealing with difficult people my whole life." Donna leaned forward, making sure her confidence showed. "I grew up taking care of my mother through her cancer treatment. I've handled patients who were scared and angry and lashing out. I don't scare easy, and I don't quit when things get hard." Something flickered in Evelyn's eyes. Hope, maybe? Or desperation? "Tell me about your qualifications." This was the moment. The lie. Donna took a breath and recited the credentials she'd prepared. A nursing degree from a school whose records were easy to fake. A license number that wouldn't raise red flags in a casual check. She kept her voice steady, her face confident. It was risky. It was stupid. But Evelyn wasn't really listening to the details. She was watching Donna's face, searching for something. "You seem different from the others." Evelyn said finally. Different how? They all looked at this job like easy money. Sit with a rich man in a fancy house, collect a paycheck. Evelyn leaned forward. But there's something in your eyes, Miss Ponce, something fierce. You need this job for more than money, don't you? Donna hesitated, then nodded slowly. Yes, ma'am. I have goals I'm trying to reach. This job would help me get there. Goals. Evelyn smiled, just slightly. I like goals. They mean you won't give up easily. I don't give up at all. Evelyn studied her for another long moment, then nodded. You're hired. Can you start Monday? The next few days passed in a blur of preparation and barely controlled panic. Donna packed her bags without telling anyone where she was going. Researched the Gavin family online. Read everything she could find about Michael Gavin, the brilliant young CEO who had taken over his father's tech company at 25, the philanthropist who had donated millions to education initiatives, the golden boy of Newport society who had had the world at his feet. Until the accident. After that, the articles stopped. The photos disappeared. Michael Gavin had vanished from public life entirely. The day before she left, Donna had one last fight with Linda. It started, as these things always did, over something stupid. I reorganized the spice cabinet, Linda announced at breakfast. It was such a mess. I put everything in alphabetical order. Donna looked up from her coffee. You reorganized my mother's spice cabinet? It's not... Linda caught herself. I mean, I just thought it would be more efficient. She had a system. Donna's voice was dangerously quiet. Mom had a system. Most used spices on the bottom shelf, specialty stuff on top, baking ingredients separate. She developed that system over 20 years of cooking for this family. Donna, I didn't mean... You never mean anything, do you? Donna stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. You didn't mean to date my father before my mother's body was cold. You didn't mean to move into her house and take over her life. You didn't mean to have a baby and pretend like we're all one big happy family. Donna! Warren appeared in the doorway, Harmony in his arms. That's enough. No, Dad, it's not nearly enough. Donna whirled on him. You let her change everything. The furniture, the curtains, the photographs. I can barely recognize this house anymore. We had to make it our own, Linda started. It was never supposed to be yours. Harmony started crying. The sound cut through the argument like a knife. Everyone froze. The baby's wails filled the kitchen. Her little face was red, tears streaming down her chubby cheeks. Warren tried to soothe her, bouncing her gently, but she kept crying and reaching for Donna. Those little arms stretched out, fingers grabbing at the air, her whole body straining toward the one person who refused to hold her. Donna's heart clenched so hard she couldn't breathe. I'm leaving tomorrow, she said flatly. I got a job. Live-in caregiver position in Newport for the Gavin heir. I won't be back. Linda's eyes went wide. Newport? The Gavins? As in Gavin Industries? Even in her anger, Donna felt a petty satisfaction at Linda's shock. Yeah, that's the one. Warren stepped forward, Harmony still crying in his arms. Donna, wait. Can we talk about this? Maybe I could help with your tuition instead. I could borrow... Now you want to help? Donna laughed bitterly. Months of watching me struggle and now you want to help? I made mistakes, I know I did. But running away to some stranger's house... It's not running away. It's running towards something. Donna grabbed her coffee cup and headed for the stairs. Something better than this. Donna... She didn't stop. In her room, she finished packing while Harmony's cries echoed up from downstairs. Eventually, the crying stopped, replaced by the low murmur of Warren and Linda talking. Donna held her mother's photograph for one last time in this house. I'm going to make it, Mom. I'm going to finish school, get my license, and build a life you'd be proud of. She kissed the glass. And I'm going to do it without any of them. She tucked the photograph carefully between her clothes. Then she finished packing and tried not to think about the baby who kept reaching for her. Newport, Rhode Island, looked like money had thrown up on it. That was Donna's first thought as the bus wound through the town's historic streets. Massive mansions lined the roads, each one bigger and fancier than the last. The air smelled like salt water and old money. Everyone walking around looked like they'd stepped out of a catalog for people who never had to worry about bills. When the bus finally stopped near Bellevue Avenue, Donna grabbed her suitcase and stepped out into a world she'd only ever seen in movies. The Gavin estate was at the end of a long private driveway, hidden behind a wall of perfectly manicured hedges. As Donna walked up the gravel path, the house came into view, and she actually stopped breathing for a second. It wasn't a house. It was a castle. Stone walls covered in ivy, windows that sparkled in the afternoon sun, gardens that stretched toward cliffs overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. The kind of place where people probably had servants just to take care of their other servants. "What did I get myself into?" Donna muttered. She straightened her shoulders, adjusted her grip on her suitcase, and marched toward the front door. A woman met her before she could knock. Older, black, with sharp eyes and silver streaks in her natural hair. She wore a crisp uniform and an expression that said she'd seen everything and was impressed by nothing. "You must be the new nurse." Her voice was neutral. "I'm Rita, head housekeeper." "Donna Ponce." Donna extended her hand. "Nice to meet you." Rita shook it briefly. "The last one made it 11 days. She seemed tough, too." "What happened to her?" He threw a crystal vase at the wall beside her head. Didn't actually hit her, but she ran out screaming anyway. Said she'd rather be homeless than terrorized. Rita's expression didn't change. "The one before that lasted 6 days. The one before that, 9. Donna felt a chill run down her spine. "He sounds difficult." Rita's eyes met hers. "That's the polite word. You seem like a decent young woman, Miss Ponce. I'm going to give you the same advice I gave all the others." "What's that?" "Don't let him break you." Rita turned and led the way inside. "But more importantly, don't expect to fix him. He doesn't want to be fixed. He wants to be left alone to suffer. Your job is to keep him alive despite his best efforts. Nothing more." Donna followed her through a grand foyer, up a sweeping staircase, and down a long hallway lined with family portraits. Generations of Gavins stared down at her. Proud, accomplished, intimidating. At the end of the hall, Rita stopped in front of a heavy wooden door. "This is his room. Mrs. Gavin is already inside." Rita put a hand on Donna's arm. "Last chance to turn back. No one would blame you." Donna thought about Linda, about Warren, about the baby who kept reaching for her even though she couldn't reach back. She thought about her mother. "I don't turn back." Rita almost smiled. Almost. "Then God help you." She pushed the door open. And that's how Donna found herself dodging a flying book 30 seconds later. Which brings us back to where we started, with 2 hot-headed people standing in a billionaire's bedroom, neither one willing to back down. 3 days, Michael had said. 3 hours, Donna had fired back. And now, with the first battle lines drawn, they stood staring at each other like 2 fighters waiting for the bell. Evelyn Gavin cleared her throat nervously. "Well, I'll let you 2 get acquainted. Donna, your room is through that connecting door. If you need anything, Rita can help you get settled." She fled. Actually fled. Donna watched a billionaire's wife practically run out of her own son's room like she couldn't escape fast enough. That should have been a warning. Instead, Donna found it almost funny. "Your mother's scared of you," she observed. Michael's jaw tightened. "Everyone's scared of me. I'm not. You should be." Donna walked further into the room, taking in her surroundings with deliberate casualness. Expensive furniture. A massive bed with medical rails attached. A bathroom visible through one door, all fixtures designed for wheelchair accessibility. Floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the ocean that probably cost more than her entire life. And everywhere, signs of a man who had given up. Pain and sleep medication bottles lined up but untouched. Physical therapy equipment gathering dust in the corner. Curtains drawn against the daylight. The air itself felt stale, like no one had opened a window in months. "Nice room," Donna said. "Very tortured millionaire haunted by his own demons chic. Did you decorate it yourself, or did you hire someone to make it this depressing?" Michael's eyes narrowed. Did you just come here to insult my interior design? No, I came here to do a job, but the insults are free. She turned to face him fully. Look, mister, I'm Gavin. I know you've run off 12 caregivers. I know you throw things and say terrible things and generally make everyone's life miserable. I know you're trying to scare me off right now. And yet you're still here. And yet I'm still here. She crossed her arms. Because I don't scare easily. I've dealt with worse than you. Something flickered in his expression. Curiosity, maybe. Or irritation. Worse than me? My mother died 2 years ago. Cancer. I watched her waste away for months. I held her hand while she took her last breath. Donna's voice didn't waver, even as the words cost her. After that, nothing scares me. Certainly not some rich guy in a wheelchair throwing a tantrum. The room went very quiet. Michael stared at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. 2 years ago? He asked finally. Yeah, on February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to me, right? Something shifted in his face. Something almost like recognition. February 14th, he repeated quietly. That's the day of my accident. Donna blinked. What? The same day, 2 years ago, February 14th. He looked away toward the window. I swerved to avoid a deer. My car flipped twice. I woke up in a hospital 3 days later and they told me I'd never walk again. The coincidence hung in the air between them. 2 lives destroyed on the same day. 2 people marked by the same date. Well, Donna said finally, I guess we both have reasons to hate Valentine's Day. Michael turned back to her. His expression was still hard, still guarded, but something in his eyes had changed. You can put your things in the room next door, he said. Knocker, there's a connecting door in case of emergencies. Does that mean you're not firing me? That means I'm giving you your 3 days. His lips curved in a smile that wasn't quite friendly. Let's see if you can survive them. Donna grabbed her suitcase and headed for the connecting door. Mr. Gavin? He looked at her. I don't just survive, I thrive. She smiled back, just as unfriendly. Get used to it. She walked through the door and closed it behind her. And for the first time since arriving in Newport, she let out a breath. Okay, Mom, she whispered. Here we go. If you think these 2 are already explosive, just wait until you see what happens during their first week together. But before we get into that chaos, do me a favor. If you think Donna should quit right now and save herself the headache, saw to comment, run, girl. But if you think she's about to give Michael Gavin the wake-up call of his life, comment, she's staying. And make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next is going to have you screaming at your screen. The first week was war. Not the explosive, dramatic kind of war. Something quieter, more personal. A constant battle of wills between 2 stubborn, hot-headed people who absolutely refused to give an inch. Day 1, Michael refused to eat breakfast. Donna brought the tray in at exactly 8 o'clock, just like the schedule specified. Eggs, toast, fresh fruit. Simple. Nutritious. Michael looked at it like she'd brought him a plate of garbage. Not hungry. The body doesn't care if you're hungry, it needs fuel. Donna set the tray on his bedside table. Eat. I said no. And I said eat. They stared at each other. You can't force me to eat, Michael said. No, but I can sit here and stare at you until you do. Donna pulled up a chair, sat down, crossed her arms. I've got nowhere else to be. I'm not eating. Then I'm not leaving. 1 hour passed, then 2. Michael tried reading. Donna stared at him. He tried ignoring her. She cleared her throat every 30 seconds. He turned on the TV. She turned it off. You're the most annoying person I've ever met, he growled. Eat your breakfast and I'll leave. He grabbed the fork with an irritated huff and shoved eggs into his mouth. Happy? He demanded. Thrilled. Day 2, he criticized her technique, taking his blood pressure. Too tight. Are you trying to cut off my circulation? Donna adjusted the cuff. Tried again. Now it's too loose. Did you even go to nursing school? Her jaw tightened. She thought about the 1 semester she hadn't finished. pushed the guilt down. I went to nursing school, and I'm good at what I do. She tried a third time. Perfect pressure. Perfect reading. Michael looked at the numbers on the monitor, then at her. Better, he admitted grudgingly. Still hate you. Feelings mutual. Take your pills. Day 3, he wheeled his chair directly over her foot. The pain was shocking. Tears sprang to her eyes. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. But she didn't cry out, didn't move away. She looked down at his wheels on her foot, then up at his face. That all you got? He backed up without apologizing, but there was something in his expression, something almost like respect. Day 4, he threw his medication across the room. Little orange bottles bounced off walls, pills scattered across the hardwood floor like confetti at the world's worst party. What is wrong with you? Donna demanded. I'm tired of pills, tired of schedules, tired of being poked and prodded like some kind of science experiment. These pills keep you healthy? Healthy? He laughed bitterly. I'm paralyzed from the waist down. I haven't walked in 2 years. What exactly is healthy about any of this? Donna got down on her hands and knees and started gathering the pills. These are expensive, she said calmly. Some of them are $400 each. Your little tantrum just cost someone a small fortune. I can afford it. That's not the point. She stood up, pills in hand, and set them back on his nightstand. The point is, these keep you alive, and whether you like it or not, you're going to take them. Why do you even care? The question caught her off guard. What? Why do you care if I take my medication? If I eat? If I rot in this bed until I die? His voice was bitter, hollow. You're getting paid either way. Donna stared at him for a long moment. She thought about her mother, about watching someone give up, about being helpless to stop it. Because I've already watched one person I cared about die, she said quietly. I'm not watching another one. She walked out before he could respond. Day 5, he refused to go outside. The weather is beautiful, Donna announced, throwing open the curtains. 72 degrees, ocean breeze, perfect day for some fresh air. Michael shielded his eyes from the sudden light like a vampire. Close those. No? I'm not going outside. Fine. Then I'll bring outside to you. You need vitamin D. She opened every single window in the room. The smell of salt water and flowers flooded in. Sounds of birds and waves crashed against the silence he'd been hiding in. Michael glared at her. I don't need vitamin D. Your attitude suggests otherwise. She left the windows open. He didn't close them. Day 6, he insulted her in front of the entire staff. It happened in the main hallway during what Rita called the weekly check-in. The whole household staff was there. Rita, the chef, the groundskeeper, 2 maids. Everyone who kept this massive house running. And Michael, who had wheeled himself out specifically for this occasion. I just want everyone to know, he announced, that my new caregiver is the most irritating, disrespectful, insubordinate person I have ever had the misfortune of employing. She doesn't listen, she doesn't follow orders, and she has absolutely no respect for my wishes as a patient. Everyone looked at Donna. Donna looked at Michael. Her blood was boiling. She could feel the anger rising like a wave, ready to crash. But she didn't explode. That would give him the satisfaction. Instead, she smiled sweetly. At least I can walk out of here whenever I want. She let the words hang in the air. You're stuck with yourself forever. The gasp from the staff was audible. Michael's face went cold. Then something flickered behind his eyes. Something that looked almost like amusement? 3 days was not generous, he said. You'll be gone by the end of the week. I'll outlast every single person in this house, while including you. She walked away with her head high. In her room that night, she let herself shake. He's impossible, she told her reflection in the mirror. Completely impossible. How am I supposed to help someone who doesn't want to be helped? But even as she said it, she understood. Michael Gavin wasn't trying to drive her away because he was cruel. He was trying to drive her away because he was terrified. Terrified of hoping. Terrified of caring. She recognized that terror. She saw it in her own eyes every time she looked at baby Harmony. Day 8, Malcolm Gavin came to visit. Donna was in the kitchen grabbing Michael's lunch tray when Rita nudged her arm. Mr. Malcolm is here, the uncle. Uncle? Michael's father's brother. He comes by every week, brings flowers for Mrs. Gavin. Rita's voice was carefully neutral, but something in her eyes made Donna pay attention. Word of advice? Watch that one. Why? He smiles too much. Donna filed that away and headed toward the main living room with the tray. She paused in the doorway. Malcolm Gavin stood by the fireplace with Evelyn, holding a bouquet of white roses. He was in his late 50s but wore it well. Silver at his temples, expensive suit, warm smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes in a way that seemed almost genuine. You're working too hard, Evelyn, he was saying, his voice soft with concern. With everything you're dealing with, Michael's care, the company, the stress, you need to let someone help carry the burden. Evelyn looked tired, vulnerable, lonely. I don't know, Malcolm. It feels like too much to ask. Nonsense. That's what family is for. He took her hand in both of his. I'm here for you, whatever you need. His thumb stroked across her knuckles. The gesture was intimate, familiar. Donna's instincts screamed. Oh! Evelyn spotted Donna in the doorway and stepped back from Malcolm. Donna, this is Malcolm Gavin, Michael's uncle. Malcolm turned that warm smile on Donna. His eyes swept over her once, quick and assessing. The new caregiver. You must be something special to have lasted this long with my nephew. I'm just stubborn, Donna said carefully. Well, stubbornness is certainly required in this household. He laughed, but his eyes stayed watchful. Keep up the good work, Miss Ponce. The family appreciates your dedication. He turned back to Evelyn, dismissing Donna from his attention entirely. As Donna walked past with the lunch tray, she heard Malcolm's voice drop lower. Now, about those documents I mentioned, the quarterly reports from the company. I really think you should let me handle them. You have enough on your plate with Michael's care. I suppose you're right. It has been overwhelming lately. Papers rustled. A pen clicked. Donna kept walking, but her mind was racing. Something about Malcolm Gavin felt wrong. The way he stood too close to Evelyn, touched her too familiarly, talked about family while positioning himself to take control of more and more of her responsibilities. He smiles too much. Rita was right. Day 10, Kendrick Gavin showed up. If Malcolm was a snake, Kendrick was a weasel trying desperately to be a snake. He was 28 years old but acted like an entitled teenager. Average height, average looks, above average ego. Every single thing he wore had a designer label, like he was afraid people might forget he had money. Donna was in Michael's room when she heard raised voices in the hallway. Where is he? Kendrick's voice. I want to see my cousin. Mr. Michael isn't receiving visitors right now. That was Rita, her tone firm as steel. I'm not a visitor, I'm family. Now move. The door burst open. Kendrick strolled in like he owned the place. Malcolm followed behind him, wearing that same too warm smile. Cousin, Kendrick threw his arms wide. How you feeling, man? Still sitting around feeling sorry for yourself? Michael's expression went cold. What do you want, Kendrick? Just checking on my favorite cousin. Kendrick's eyes slid to Donna. He looked her up and down slowly, deliberately. So, well, the new nurse. You're prettier than the last one. Donna's skin crawled. I'm here to work, not to be looked at. Feisty. Kendrick grinned. I like that in a woman. And I like men who understand the word no. Guess we're both going to be disappointed. Kendrick's grin faltered. Malcolm stepped in smoothly. Kendrick, let's not bother Michael for too long. You know he needs his rest. Sure. But Kendrick didn't move. He was staring at Michael with something ugly in his eyes. You know, cuz, I heard the company's doing great without you. Record profits last quarter. Turns out the board didn't need you after all. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Get out." Michael's voice was quiet, deadly. "What? I'm just making conversation. Get out of my room before I have security throw you out." Kendrick laughed. "Security? Please. Your mom would never allow that. She loves having us around." He leaned closer to Michael, lowering his voice. "Face it, cousin. You're not in charge anymore. You're just the invalid they feel sorry for." Donna saw Michael's hands tighten on his wheelchair, saw the muscle in his jaw twitch. Before she could think twice, she stepped forward. "Mr. Gavin asked you to leave. I'm going to have to insist." Kendrick turned that slimy grin on her. "And who are you to insist on anything? You're just the help. I'm the help who's responsible for my patient's health and well-being." Donna didn't back down. "You're raising his blood pressure and disrupting his rest. So either leave willingly, or I call actual security and explain that you're interfering with medical care." Kendrick's smile disappeared. "You think you can threaten me?" "I think I just did." Malcolm put a hand on Kendrick's shoulder. "Let's go. We've said hello. We can visit another time." He guided his son toward the door, but as he passed Donna, Malcolm's eyes met hers. The warmth was gone. Something cold and calculating looked back. "Nice meeting you, Miss Ponce. I'm sure we'll see each other again." They left. Donna turned back to Michael. His face was pale, his hands still clenched on the armrests. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." He wasn't fine. She could see that. "Who was that guy? The cousin? He seems like a real piece of work." "Kendrick is my uncle's son. He's been jealous of me since we were kids." Michael's voice was flat. Before my accident, he couldn't touch me. Now he gets to come here and gloat about how I'm useless while he lives it up on his father's coattails. He's an idiot. He's dangerous." Michael looked at her. Something shifted in his expression. "And you just stood up to him for me. Why?" Donna blinked. "Because you're my patient, and nobody talks to my patient like that. Even a patient who's thrown books at your head? Even that patient." For a moment, something almost soft flickered across Michael's face. Then it was gone. "You're still annoying. And you're still mean. But at least I know you're mean for a reason now." She grabbed the medication bottles and headed for the door. "Miss Ponce?" She stopped. "Thanks." The word was quiet, reluctant, like it cost him something to say it. Donna didn't turn around. "No, don't mention it." Day 12 was the breaking point. It started like any other evening. Donna prepared Michael's dinner tray: grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, wild rice. Mrs. Turnison, the chef, had outdone herself. Donna carried the tray to Michael's room, balancing it carefully. He was staring out the window when she entered. Something about his posture seemed tenser than usual. Darker. "Dinner time," she announced. "I'm not hungry." "That's what you said yesterday. And the day before that." She set the tray on his bedside table. "Eat anyway." Michael turned from the window. His eyes were cold, colder than she'd ever seen them. "I said I'm not hungry. And I said—" He reached out and shoved the tray off the table. Salmon, vegetables, rice, all of it crashed to the floor. Sauce splattered across the hardwood. And pieces of fish slid under the bed. Donna stared at the mess. Then she looked at Michael. "Clean it up," he said. His voice was empty, cruel. "That's what you're here for, isn't it? The help." Behind her, Donna heard footsteps. Rita and two maids had appeared in the doorway, drawn by the commotion. Everyone was watching, waiting. Donna's hands shook with rage. She wanted to scream at him, to tell him exactly what she thought of his spoiled, pathetic, self-pitying attitude, to throw something at his head and see how he liked it. But she thought about the money, the nursing school balance, the future she was fighting for. She thought about her mother, who had faced worse indignities with grace. Slowly, she knelt down, started picking up food with her bare hands. "That's right," Michael said above her. "I could know your place." Rita moved to help, but Donna shook her head slightly. She cleaned in silence. Every piece of salmon, every vegetable, every grain of rice. Her uniform was stained. Her hands were covered in sauce. Her dignity felt like it had been ground into the floor along with everything else. When she finished, she stood up. Michael watched her with that cold, empty expression. "Will that be all?" Her voice was steady. She was proud of that. "Yes." She walked out without another word. In her room, she locked the connecting door, slid down against it. Let the tears come. "I can't do this, Mama," she whispered. "I can't keep letting him treat me like this." But even as she said it, she knew she wasn't going to quit. She was going to do something else, something petty, something satisfying. Made something that would show Michael Gavin that Donna Ponce was not to be underestimated. She wiped her eyes, stood up, went to her bag and dug around until she found what she was looking for. A small bottle of nail polish. Hot pink. A shade called Flamingo Fantasy that she'd bought on a whim months ago and never used. She looked at the bottle, looked at the connecting door. A smile spread across her face. Not a nice smile, a revenge smile. "You want to play games, Mr. Gavin?" she muttered. "Fine, let's play." Oh, she's about to do something, y'all. If you think Michael Gavin deserves whatever petty revenge is coming his way, drop a fire emoji in the comments right now. And make sure you're subscribed, because what happens next? It's about to change everything. That night, Donna waited. She waited until the house went quiet, until Rita finished her rounds, until the lights in Evelyn's wing dimmed, until she was absolutely certain everyone was asleep. Then she crept through the connecting door into Michael's room. Moonlight streamed through the windows he'd forgotten to close. It illuminated him in silver and shadow. His face relaxed in sleep, his chest rising and falling steadily, his hands resting on the blanket. Sleeping, he looked almost peaceful, almost like the man his mother described, the one who used to laugh. Donna pulled a chair up beside his bed. Quietly, carefully. She unscrewed the nail polish cap, looked at his hands. Those large, elegant hands with their long fingers and clean nails. Hands that had once built a billion-dollar company. Hands that now threw food at people who were trying to help. Beautiful hands, wasted on someone so miserable. She dipped the brush and started painting his thumbnail. "You know what your problem is?" she muttered under her breath, applying the first coat. "You think being mean makes you powerful, but it doesn't. It just makes you pathetic." Second nail. Perfect stroke. "You've got all this money, this big house, a mama who loves you so much she can barely look at you without crying. And what do? Treat everyone like garbage." Third nail. Ring finger. She was getting into a rhythm now. "You made me kneel on the floor and pick up salmon with my bare hands. Like I was nothing. Like I was less than human. Like the 3.5 years I spent in nursing school didn't matter because you've got money and I don't." Fourth nail. In the pinky. Delicate work. "Well, guess what, Michael Gavin? I am somebody. My mama raised me to be somebody, and you don't get to make me feel small." She finished his right hand, admired her work. Perfect hot pink against his caramel skin. "There, now let's do the other one." She shifted to his left hand, her movements practiced and precise. "My mama died 2 years ago," she continued, her voice dropping. "Same day as your accident. February 14th. Isn't that something? While you were swerving to avoid a deer, I was holding her hand in a hospital room watching the monitors flatline." She paused, swallowed hard, kept painting. "She would have liked you, you know. The old you. The one everyone says used to laugh and make everyone feel special. She loved people like that. People who could light up a room." Sixth nail. Seventh. "I miss her so much, every single day. And I'm stuck in a house with my dad and his new wife and their perfect baby, pretending I don't feel like I'm dying inside." Eighth nail. Almost done. "The baby keeps reaching for me. Every time I see her, she reaches her little arms out and wants me to hold her. And I can't. Because if I hold her, if I love her, then I have to forgive them. and I'm not ready to forgive them. Ninth nail. I don't even know why I'm telling you all this. You're asleep. You don't care. You don't care about anything except making everyone as miserable as you are. Final nail. Pinky finger. She held his hand gently, blowing on the polish to help it dry. There. Flamingo fantasy. Perfect for a man who forgot how to feel anything. She looked at her work. All 10 nails. Perfectly painted hot pink. Maybe when you see this tomorrow, you'll remember that I'm not someone you can push around, that there are consequences for being cruel, that... She started to stand, and his hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. Donna yelped in shock, stumbled forward, lost her balance completely, and fell directly onto the bed, onto him. For a frozen, horrifying moment, they stared at each other. Her body was pressed against his chest. Her face was inches from his. Her braids had fallen across her face, brushing against his cheek. His eyes were wide open, very much awake. Michael sniffed the air. The sharp chemical scent of nail polish was unmistakable. Then he looked down at his left hand. His eyes went wide. Bright pink. Every single nail, perfectly painted. He looked at his right hand. Same thing. What? His voice was hoarse from sleep, but his expression was pure disbelief. What did you just do? Donna tried to scramble off him, but he grabbed her chin with his painted hand, forcing her to look at him. You painted my nails? His voice rose. You actually dared to paint my nails while I was sleeping? Donna's heart was hammering so hard she could barely hear herself think, but she refused to show fear. She pouted, eyes darting away from his intense gaze, suddenly feeling embarrassed from the childish prank. That's my payback, she muttered. Michael stared at her pouty lips, her stubborn eyes, her braids falling messily across her face. The complete and utter audacity of this woman who had just committed beauty assault on a sleeping billionaire. And something in him cracked. It started as a twitch at the corner of his mouth, then a tremor in his shoulders, then a sound he hadn't made in 2 years. Laughter. Real, genuine, from the belly laughter that shook his whole body. He laughed until tears formed in his eyes, until he could barely breathe, until his stomach hurt and his face ached from an expression it hadn't made in over 700 days. Donna stared at him in shock. Are you okay? You painted my nails. He gasped between laughs. Hot pink, while I was sleeping, as revenge. It's not funny. It's hilarious. He kept laughing. Deep, helpless, genuine laughter that transformed his entire face. The coldness melted away. The bitterness disappeared. For a moment, he looked exactly like the man in the old photographs his mother kept around the house. Young, alive, happy. And despite herself, despite everything, Donna felt her own lips twitching. A giggle escaped her. Then another. You're insane, she managed. I'm insane? He was still laughing. You're the one who committed nail assault. You deserved it. Probably. They laughed together, at the absurdity of it, at the hot pink polish gleaming in the moonlight, at the complete ridiculousness of 2 angry, broken people having this moment at 2 in the morning. And then Donna shifted, trying to get off him properly, and her hip moved the wrong way and pressed against. They both froze. The laughter died instantly. Michael's eyes went wide, not with embarrassment, with shock, because he felt it. He felt that. And his body was definitely, unmistakably reacting. Donna's face flushed so hot she thought she might burst into flames. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Wait. Michael's voice was strange, wondering. I felt that. What? I felt that. He grabbed her arm before she could move away. Do you understand? I haven't felt anything below my waist in 2 years. Nothing. But I felt that. Understanding dawned on Donna's face. As a nursing student, she knew what this meant. Partial paralysis. Returning sensation. The possibility of recovery that doctors might have given up on too soon. That's actually really significant, she said, her clinical training kicking in despite her embarrassment. Have you told your doctors? Have you had recent nerve conduction tests? Because if you're regaining sensation, I think I'm supposed to be embarrassed right now, Michael interrupted. But honestly, I'm just relieved I'm not completely broken. Donna finally managed to disentangle herself, sliding off the bed to sit on the edge, her face still burning. So, are you going to fire me now? She asked. Michael looked at his hot pink nails, then at her. The moonlight caught his face, highlighting features that were softened by genuine emotion for the first time since she'd met him. Fire the only person who's made me laugh in 2 years? He shook his head slowly. Fire the woman who might have just proven I'm not as damaged as I thought? He held up his painted hand, examining it. No, Miss Ponce, I'm not going to fire you. He looked at her, and something new was in his eyes. Something warm, almost tender. I think you and I need to start over. Donna stared at him. Start over? Clean slate, no more throwing books. Oh, no more throwing food on the floor. He paused. No more pretending we don't see each other as people. What does that mean? He held up his pink-painted hand. It means anyone crazy enough to do this might be exactly what I need. Donna looked at his hand, at his face, at the genuine smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Something shifted in her chest, something she wasn't ready to name. Fine, she said. Clean slate. But the nail polish stays until tomorrow. Obviously, I worked hard on that. For the first time, they smiled at each other. Real smiles. Not weapons, not defenses. Just two broken people who had somehow found something unexpected in each other. A beginning. The morning after the nail polish incident, Donna woke up to a sound she hadn't heard in her entire time at the Gavin estate. Laughter. But not polite, restrained laughter. Deep, genuine, belly-shaking laughter coming from somewhere down the hall. She sat up in bed, disoriented. Her braids were a mess. Her uniform was wrinkled from sleeping in it, and her fingers still had traces of hot pink polish staining the tips. Had last night actually happened? The nail polish. The fall. The moment when Michael Gavin had laughed for the first time in 2 years. The discovery that he could feel things he hadn't felt since the accident. All of it felt like a fever dream, but the pink stains on her hands said otherwise. Donna threw on a fresh uniform, twisted her braids back into their signature two buns with two loose braids framing her face, and followed the sound of laughter down the hallway. She found Michael in the small breakfast nook off the kitchen, not the formal dining room. Rita stood beside him, her arms crossed over her chest, her usually stoic face showing something Donna had never seen before. Amazement. Michael was holding up one hand, showing off his bright pink nails, and he was laughing. She waited until I was asleep, he was saying, his voice lighter than Donna had ever heard it. Painted every single nail, hot pink, called it Flamingo Fantasy. Rita shook her head slowly, but Donna caught the hint of a smile tugging at her lips. In 30 years of working for this family, I have never seen anything like this. Neither have I. Michael grinned. Actually grinned, his whole face transforming into something almost boyish. And honestly, I'm not even mad. Rita pulled out her phone. I need to document this, for posterity. Rita, hold still. She snapped a photo before he could protest. Don't worry, this will never see the light of day. But 30 years from now, when you're telling your grandchildren about the nurse who painted your nails while you slept, you'll thank me for the evidence. Michael spotted Donna hovering in the doorway. Their eyes met. Something electric crackled between them. Something that made Donna's stomach flip and her heart stutter. Good morning, Miss Ponce. His voice was warm, teasing, almost flirtatious. Sleep well? Donna felt heat rush to her face. Yes, fine. Good morning. Join me for breakfast? I already ate. No, you didn't. You just woke up. His eyes sparkled with amusement. I can tell by the pillow marks on your face. Donna's hand flew to her cheek. She could feel the imprints from her pillowcase pressed into her skin. Michael laughed again, that gorgeous, unexpected sound that did something funny to her chest. Rita quietly excused herself, but not before giving Donna a look that said volumes. Sit down, Michael said, gesturing to the chair across from him. Eat? Consider it part of the clean slate. Donna hesitated. She was supposed to be the caregiver. She was supposed to maintain professional boundaries. She was supposed to… Oh, who was she kidding? She walked to the table and sat across from him. A plate appeared in front of her almost immediately. Rita had clearly anticipated this. Eggs, toast, fruit. The works. Thank you, Donna murmured. Don't thank me yet. Michael held up his pink-painted hand, examining it in the morning light with exaggerated interest. No, we still need to discuss the terms of my revenge. Donna's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Revenge? You didn't think I'd let this go unpunished, did you? His eyes danced with mischief. You painted my nails while I slept. In my world, that's a declaration of war. You threw food on the floor and made me clean it up on my hands and knees. In my world, that was a declaration of war. Fair point. He considered this, tilting his head. Then we're even. For now. For now? Until one of us does something else outrageous. Despite herself, despite all her professional training, despite every logical reason to maintain distance, Donna smiled. Is that a challenge? Consider it an invitation. Michael bit into his toast with obvious relish, the first time she'd seen him enjoy food since she arrived. So, life around here has been boring for too long. I think I'm ready for some chaos. Rita's voice floated in from the kitchen. Lord help us all. Donna looked at Michael, really looked at him, and saw something she hadn't seen before. Hope. Faint, fragile, flickering like a candle in the wind. But hope nonetheless. Okay, she said, picking up her fork. Chaos it is. But first, Michael held up his pink nails again. I'm going to need some nail polish remover. This was funny for one night. I'm not walking around looking like I lost a bet at a slumber party. Donna grinned. I'll get you some after breakfast, but I'm keeping the photo Rita took. Absolutely not. Too late. She already texted it to me. Michael's outraged expression only made her laugh harder. 3 days after the nail polish incident, Michael surprised Donna with an unexpected request. I want to show you something. She was in his room, doing the afternoon vital checks. Blood pressure was normal for the first time in weeks. Pulse was steady. Everything looking better than it had since she'd arrived. Show me what? She asked, wrapping up the blood pressure cuff. Follow me. He wheeled himself toward the door, moving with more energy and purpose than she'd ever seen from him. Curious despite herself, Donna followed. They went down a long hallway she hadn't explored yet, past rooms filled with antique furniture and stern family portraits. Generations of Gavins stared down at her as she passed, their painted eyes seeming to judge her unworthiness. Finally, Michael stopped in front of a heavy wooden door carved with intricate designs. This was my father's study, he said quietly, his voice dropping with reverence. After he died, my mother kept it exactly as he left it. Every book, every piece of paper, everything. He paused. I haven't been in here since before my accident. Donna felt the weight of that confession. 2 years of avoiding a room. 2 years of grief locked behind a wooden door. Are you sure you want to go in? She asked softly. No. He smiled slightly. But I want to show you something more than I want to avoid it. He pushed the door open. The room was magnificent. Dark wood paneling gleamed in the afternoon light. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined every wall, stuffed with leather-bound volumes and family photographs. A massive oak desk dominated the space near the window, Ike still covered with papers as if Jerome Gavin had just stepped away for a moment. But what captured Donna's attention was what hung on the walls. Swords. Dozens of them. Antique blades from around the world displayed in elegant glass cases. Rapiers with jeweled hilts. Curved katanas with silk-wrapped handles. Massive broadswords that looked like they belonged to medieval knights. Slender sabers with edges that still gleamed sharp. Each one was polished and preserved like the treasure it was. Donna's jaw dropped. What is this place? My father's collection. Michael wheeled himself to one of the cases, his reflection ghosting across the glass. He was obsessed with fencing, actually competed at the collegiate level, even won a few national championships back in the day. These are incredible. He taught me when I was 8 years old. Michael's voice softened with memory. Said fencing wasn't just about fighting. It was about discipline, control, understanding your opponent better than they understand themselves. Did you compete too? I was nationally ranked. His voice was matter-of-fact, but Donna caught the pride underneath. Before the accident, I was training for international competition. Had a real shot at making the Olympic team. Michael, Donna breathed, understanding now what he'd lost. He stared at the swords with an expression that broke her heart. Longing, grief, a door to his past that he couldn't walk through anymore. I haven't touched one since the accident. Donna looked at the blades, then at Michael, then back at the blades. Why not? His head whipped toward her. What? Why haven't you touched them? You said you haven't, but you didn't say why. Because what's the point? His voice turned bitter, that familiar edge creeping back. I can't fence from a wheelchair. I can't move properly. I can't lunge or retreat or do any of the footwork that actually matters. So what's the point? Donna considered this for a moment. Then she asked, "Can you hold a sword?" He blinked. What? Can you physically hold a sword? Grip the handle? Move your arms? Yes, but... Donna walked to one of the cases and studied the blades inside. Most of them looked terrifyingly sharp, not ideal for a beginner. Which ones are the practice swords? The ones that won't slice me open if I make a mistake? Michael stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Okay, the practice foils are in the closet on the left. But what are you... Donna found the closet, pulled out 2 practice foils with blunted tips, and tossed one to Michael. He caught it reflexively. His hand wrapped around the grip like greeting an old friend, muscle memory taking over before his brain could object. What are you doing? He asked, looking at the foil in his hand with an expression caught between confusion and wonder. You're going to teach me. Teach you what? How to fence. Donna held up her own foil, clearly having absolutely no idea what she was doing. The blade wobbled in her uncertain grip. You said you were nationally ranked, so rank me. Teach me something. From a wheelchair? Why not? She shrugged like it was the most obvious thing in the world. You've got arms. You've got knowledge. You've got a very willing student who will definitely embarrass herself for your entertainment. Michael looked at the foil in his hand, then at Donna, standing there with her braids swinging, holding her sword like a baseball bat, completely and utterly serious. Something shifted in his expression, something that looked almost like joy. You're holding it completely wrong. Then fix it. He wheeled closer, reached out and adjusted her grip, his fingers warm and confident against hers. Thumb on top, fingers wrapped here, not there. Wrist straight, not bent like you're swatting a fly. Donna adjusted. Like this? Better. Still terrible, but better. He was studying her form with critical eyes, and she could see the competitor in him waking up. Now, the basic stance, feet shoulder-width apart, dominant foot forward, knees slightly bent. Which foot is dominant? Which hand do you write with? Right. Then right foot forward. Good. Now raise the foil. Point at my chest. Donna did. The tip of her blade aimed directly at his heart. There, Michael said softly, something shifting in his voice. That's an on-guard position. Their eyes met over the crossed steel. Something electric crackled between them. Something that had nothing to do with fencing. Now what? Donna asked, her voice slightly breathless. Now you learn that everything in fencing is about distance, space, knowing when to advance and when to retreat. He wheeled backward slightly. Come toward me. Donna stepped forward. Stop. She stopped. You just entered my striking range. If this were a real bout, I could hit you before you could react. Michael's voice was intense, focused, alive in a way she hadn't heard before. Fencing is a conversation, Donna. Every movement says something. Every choice reveals your intentions. What am I saying right now? Michael studied her, her stance, her grip, the set of her shoulders, the fire in her eyes. You're saying you're not afraid. You're saying you want to learn. He paused, and something warmed in his gaze. You're saying you see me as someone worth learning from. The words hung in the air like a confession. I do, Donna said quietly. I think you have a lot to teach, not just about fencing. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Neither of them breathed. Then Michael smiled. A real smile. The kind that reached his eyes and transformed his whole face. Again, he said, by resetting his position. From the beginning. And this time, don't grip so tight. The foil should be an extension of your arm, not a weapon you're strangling to death. Donna laughed and reset her position. And that was how the fencing lessons began. Every afternoon for the next 2 weeks, they practiced. Michael taught her the basics first. Footwork, stance, the fundamental attacks and parries that formed the foundation of everything else. He couldn't demonstrate standing, but he showed her from his chair, his movements precise and fluid despite the limitation. Lunge, he commanded. Extend your arm, then step, not the other way around. You're doing it backwards. Donna lunged, stumbled, nearly face-planted into the expensive carpet. That was terrible. You try lunging in these shoes. She gestured at her sensible nursing flats. I'd make excuses or make progress. Pick one. She glared at him with all the heat she could muster, then reset. Lunged again. Better this time. Good, Michael said, the single word of praise warming her more than it should have. Again. They practiced until her arms ached and her legs burned, until sweat dripped down her face and her braids stuck to her neck, until her muscles screamed for mercy and she wanted to collapse. But she didn't collapse. Because every time she looked at Michael, at the light in his eyes, at the focus on his face, at the way he came alive when he was teaching, she found strength she didn't know she had. And somewhere in those sessions, something changed between them. The bickering didn't stop. If anything, it intensified. But it transformed into something different. Playful, teasing, affectionate. The insults landed like love notes instead of weapons. Your form is still garbage, Michael would say, studying her stance with mock disapproval. Your attitude is still garbage, Donna would fire back, not missing a beat. At least I don't hold a sword like I'm trying to kill a spider with a broom. At least I don't give instructions like a drill sergeant with anger issues. And they would both laugh. Rita watched from doorways with amazement written across her usually stoic face. The other staff members whispered about the transformation, about how the house felt different now, lighter somehow. Even Evelyn started appearing at mealtimes, drawn by the sound of her son's laughter echoing through halls that had been silent as a tomb for 2 years. I don't know what you're doing, Evelyn said to Donna one afternoon, catching her in the hallway. Her eyes were wet with grateful tears. But please, whatever it is, don't stop. Donna wasn't sure what she was doing either, but she knew she didn't want to stop. If you're already invested in these 2 disaster humans, wait until you hear what happens next. Because while Donna and Michael were falling for each other, the snake was watching, waiting, planning. 2 weeks into the new dynamic, Malcolm Gavin showed up again unannounced. Donna was in the kitchen assembling Michael's afternoon tea tray. Earl Grey, exactly how he liked it, strong with a splash of milk, when she heard his voice in the main hall. Evelyn, darling, I brought those documents we discussed. Something about the oily smoothness of that voice made Donna's skin crawl. She peeked around the corner. Malcolm stood with Evelyn near the grand entrance, holding a bouquet of roses. This time they were red, deep crimson red. The symbolism wasn't lost on Donna. Oh, Malcolm, you didn't have to come all this way. Evelyn sounded flustered, almost girlish. I could have sent someone to pick up the papers. Nonsense, I wanted to see you. Malcolm's smile was warm as summer sunshine. He reached out and touched her arm, not letting his hand linger. And to check on Michael, of course. How is he doing? Any improvement? Actually, yes. Evelyn's face lit up. He's been doing remarkably better lately. The new caregiver seems to be making a real difference. Is that so? Something flickered in Malcolm's expression. There and gone so fast, Donna almost missed it. A tightening around the eyes. A flash of something cold beneath the warmth. Displeasure. How wonderful, Malcolm continued, his smile firmly back in place. Tell me more. He's laughing again, Malcolm. Evelyn's voice cracked with emotion. Actually laughing. I heard him this morning, and I just stood there crying because I never thought I'd hear that sound again. That's... Malcolm paused almost imperceptibly. That's lovely, Evelyn. Truly. You must be so relieved. But his tone didn't match his words. Donna could hear it. The falseness beneath the caring. She watched as Malcolm guided Evelyn toward her private study, one hand on the small of her back. Possessive. Familiar. Like he already owned her. Now about those financial adjustments we discussed. His voice drifted back as they walked. I really think it's time to streamline some of the accounts. Consolidate things under more professional management. You've been so helpful with all of this, Malcolm. I don't know what I'd do without you. That's what family is for, darling. Let me take care of everything. Their voices faded as they disappeared into the study. Donna's instincts were screaming louder than ever. She didn't trust Malcolm Gavin. Not his smile. Not his concern. And not his constant presence in this house. She grabbed the tea tray and headed to Michael's room, turning over possibilities in her mind the whole way. When she entered, Michael was by the window, staring out at the churning ocean with a dark expression. Your uncle's here, she said, setting down the tea. I know. Michael's voice was flat, hard. I heard the car pull up. You don't seem happy about it. I'm never happy when Malcolm visits. He didn't elaborate, but his jaw was tight, his hands gripping the wheelchair armrests. Donna sat on the edge of his bed, something that had become normal over the past 2 weeks, the professional boundaries between them blurring more each day. Can I ask you something? You're going to anyway. What's the deal with your uncle? Every time he comes here, I get this feeling like... She searched for the right words. Like he's calculating something behind that smile? Michael finished for her. Donna nodded. Exactly like that. Michael was quiet for a long moment, staring at his tea without drinking it. Then he sighed, and it sounded like it came from somewhere deep and exhausted. Malcolm and my father started this company together. Did you know that? No. They were partners, best friends since freshman year of college. Built Gavin Industries from nothing. Just 2 guys in a garage with a dream and more ambition than sense. Michael's voice was distant, lost in memory. But 6 months in, Malcolm got scared. The startup wasn't making money. Investors were pulling out. Everything looked like it was going to fail. What happened? He sold his shares to my father. 50% of the company, gone for $200,000. Michael laughed, but there was no humor in it. He thought he was cutting his losses, thought he was the smart one, getting out before the whole thing collapsed. Donna did the math in her head and felt her stomach drop. But it didn't collapse. 6 months after Malcolm sold, my father secured a major government contract. The company exploded. By the time I was born, it was worth $50 million. By the time my father died, it was worth over $1 billion. Michael looked at her. And now? $4.2 billion. $4.2 billion. Michael's expression was grim. Malcolm sold half of a $4 billion company for $200,000. And he's never, ever forgiven my father for that. Or me, and for inheriting what he thinks should have been his. Donna absorbed this, pieces clicking together in her mind. So when he shows up with flowers and smiles and helpful suggestions, he wants it back. He's always wanted it back. The money, the company, the life he thinks should have been his. Michael's eyes were hard. A chill ran down Donna's spine. Your mother, she said slowly, who's been lonely since your father died, who's vulnerable after watching you suffer for 2 years, who's being charmed every single week with flowers and attention and offers to help with her burden. Michael met her eyes. Understanding passed between them like an electric current. I think he wants to date my mom or something so he can get closer to the funds. Now you see why I don't trust him. Donna thought about what she'd overheard. Even financial adjustments, consolidating accounts, Malcolm guiding Evelyn toward her study with documents in his hands and honey on his tongue. It didn't seem to her like he just wants to Michael's mom. They had been talking about signing some documents ever since Malcolm had been coming around. She had her suspicions, and it made her want to vomit. Michael, I think he's... A knock at the door interrupted her. Malcolm appeared in the doorway, that warm smile firmly in place. His eyes swept over the room, taking in Donna sitting on the bed, the casual intimacy of her position near Michael, the tea service between them. Something flickered in his gaze, something sharp and assessing. Michael, how wonderful to see you looking so well. He strolled into the room without being invited, moving like he owned the place. And Miss Ponce. Still here, I see. Still here, Donna confirmed flatly. My nephew must be treating you better than he treated the others. Most caregivers don't last this long. Your nephew is full of surprises. Malcolm's smile didn't waver, but his eyes sharpened almost imperceptibly. Isn't he just? He walked around the room like he was taking inventory, stopped by the window where Michael had been sitting, looked out at the view. I was just discussing some business matters with your mother. Nothing you need to worry about, of course. Just some account restructuring that would make things easier for her. What kind of restructuring? Michael's voice was carefully neutral. Nothing complicated. Just moving some funds to accounts I can manage on her behalf. Take some of the burden off her shoulders. Malcolm's tone was smooth as silk, and reasonable as a snake offering an apple. She's been under so much stress with your situation. My situation. Your recovery, Malcolm amended smoothly, which is going wonderfully from what I hear. Miss Ponce must be quite skilled. Something about the way he said skilled made Donna want to take a shower. He turned that calculating gaze on her, studying her like she was a puzzle to be solved, or a threat to be eliminated. Tell me, Miss Ponce, how did you get into nursing? It takes a special kind of person to care for someone in Michael's condition. Donna felt the trap in the question, but couldn't quite identify it. I've always wanted to help people, she said carefully. My mother was sick for a long time before she passed. I learned a lot taking care of her. How admirable. His eyes didn't leave her face. And where did you train? Donna's heart stuttered. Was he suspicious? Did he know something? Malcolm. Michael's voice cut through like a blade, sharp and final. Miss Ponce isn't here for an interrogation. Just making conversation, nephew, getting to know the staff. But Malcolm's eyes stayed on Donna a moment too long before he turned away. Well, I should get back to Evelyn. Those documents won't sign themselves. He left with a casual wave, but the temperature in the room seemed to rise when he was gone, like a pressure had been released. The moment his footsteps faded down the hall, Donna turned to Michael. He's up to something. I can feel it in my bones. I know. Your mother is signing documents for him, financial documents, every week, more and more. I've heard. But she says it's just documents to grant him access to some part of the company so he can help her manage not to sign over shares and stuff. Michael's jaw tightened with frustration. My mom has always been trusting of people, but even if she were wrong, there's nothing I can do from this chair. I can barely manage my own life, let alone protect my mother from a predator in an expensive suit. That's not true. Isn't it? He gestured at his legs, at the wheelchair, at his whole diminished existence. Look at me, Donna. I can't walk. I can't run the company. I can barely get through the day without you forcing me to eat and take my medication. What exactly am I supposed to do against someone like Malcolm? Donna stood up, walked over to where he sat, knelt down so they were at eye level, her hands gripping the arms of his wheelchair. You're supposed to fight, she said fiercely, her eyes blazing into his. You're not dead, Michael. You're not buried. You're sitting right here, breathing, thinking, strategizing. You have a brain that built a $4 billion company. Use it. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. Her voice intensified. You told me fencing is about distance. about knowing when to advance and when to retreat. So retreat if you have to. Watch, gather information, wait for the right moment. And then? And then you strike. She grabbed his hand, clean now, the pink polish long gone. He'd scrubbed it off the morning after their truce, though not before Rita had taken that photo for posterity that she swore would never see the light of day. I'll help you. I don't know how yet, but I'll help you figure out what Malcolm is doing and how to stop him. I'll be your legs and your eyes. Michael stared at her, at this woman who had stormed into his life, painted his nails as petty revenge, made him laugh for the first time in 2 years, and was now kneeling in front of him like a warrior ready for battle. Why? He asked softly. Why do you care so much about my problems? Donna thought about it, thought about all the reasons she could give. The job, the money, the clean slate they'd agreed to. But the truth was simpler than any of that. Because you deserve someone in your corner, she said. Someone who's not afraid of you, who's not trying to use you, who actually gives a damn about what happens to you. Her voice softened. And right now, that someone is me. Michael's hand tightened around hers. Okay, he said finally. Let's fight. Over the next week, things intensified on every front. Donna started paying closer attention to Malcolm's visits. She lingered in hallways, listened at doors when she could do it without being obvious, watched Evelyn's face for signs of manipulation. What she found worried her deeply. Malcolm was visiting more frequently now, 3 times a week instead of once. He brought gifts, jewelry now, not just flowers. He took Evelyn to dinner at expensive restaurants. He called her darling and touched her constantly, her hand, her shoulder, the small of her back. And Evelyn was falling for it. He's so attentive, she confided to Donna one afternoon, a dreamy look in her eyes. So understanding. He lost his wife 5 years ago, you know. He understands what it's like to be lonely. Donna wanted to scream, wanted to shake this elegant, intelligent woman and tell her she was being played. But she had no proof. Nothing concrete, just instinct and suspicion. Do you trust him, Mrs. Gavin? She asked carefully. Of course I do. He's family. He's been my rock through all of this. Has he asked you to sign anything recently? Evelyn hesitated almost imperceptibly. Just some business papers, account transfers, investment reallocations. Nothing I don't already handle regularly. She waved a dismissive hand. Malcolm's just helping me manage things while Michael recovers. Donna's heart sank. Michael's mom was pretty, but looked like she lacked the brains to protect this empire, or she was just weak for a man. That night, she reported everything to Michael. He's moving faster, Michael said grimly, his expression dark. He must have some kind of timeline he's working toward. What do you mean? I don't know yet, but Malcolm doesn't do anything without a reason. If he's accelerating his moves, it's because something is coming, something that might interfere with his plans. They were in his room, sitting close together in the darkness. Donna on the edge of his bed, her legs tucked under her. Michael in his wheelchair, pulled up beside her so close their knees almost touched. Somewhere over the past 3 weeks, this had become their ritual. These late-night conversations, this closeness, this sharing of secrets and fears. What could interfere with his plans? Donna asked. Michael was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Me. You. If I were to recover significantly, if I were to take control of the company again. His eyes met hers in the dim moonlight. Malcolm's access to my mother, to the money, to the power, would be severely limited, maybe cut off entirely. Understanding dawned on Donna's face. He's racing against your recovery. All he heard is that I'm laughing more, and suddenly he's running here and there. A small, secret smile crossed Michael's face. I wonder what he would do if he knows what's actually happening. Donna went still. What is actually happening? Michael was quiet for a long, charged moment. Then he gripped the arms of his wheelchair, pushed himself up, not just lifting, standing, shaky, uncertain, his arms trembling with effort as he gripped the chair for support, but standing, on his own 2 feet. Donna's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. I'm Michael. I've been practicing at night, he said, his voice strained. When everyone's asleep. For about a month now. A month? You've been able to do this for a month? It started after the night you painted my nails. After you fell on me and... He paused, and even in the darkness, she could see the color rise in his face. After I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. After she'd fallen on him. After that moment of physical contact that had proven his body wasn't as broken as everyone believed. Why didn't you tell anyone? Donna demanded. Why didn't you tell your mother? Your doctors? Because I was afraid to hope. His voice cracked slightly. Every time I've hoped since the accident, I've been crushed. I didn't want to tell anyone, didn't want to see hope in their eyes, only to disappoint them again. To disappoint myself again. Sit down before you fall down, Donna ordered, her nursing instincts kicking in. He lowered himself back into the chair, breathing hard. Donna stared at him. This changes everything, she said slowly. If you're recovering, if you can walk again, I'm not there yet. I can stand for maybe a minute. Walk a few steps if I'm holding on to something. It's progress, but it's slow. But it is progress. Michael, this is incredible. Keep your voice down. But he was smiling. I don't want anyone to know yet. Not until I'm ready. Ready for what? His expression hardened with determination. To take back everything that's mine, the company, my life, my future. He looked at her, and his eyes softened. I have reasons to fight now that I didn't have before. Donna's breath caught, but they were so close in the darkness. Close enough that she could see the amber flecks in his eyes even in the dim light. Close enough to feel the warmth radiating from his body. Michael, you saved me, Donna. His voice was quiet, raw, honest. I was drowning. I'd given up on everything. And then you stormed in here, threw my attitude back in my face, painted my nails hot pink, and made me remember what it felt like to want something. What do you want? The question hung between them. Michael reached out, brushed a loose braid away from her face, let his fingers linger against her cheek. I want to live, he said softly. I want to fight for my company. I want to protect my mother from Malcolm. His thumb traced her cheekbone. And I want you. Donna's heart was pounding so hard she could barely hear herself think. Like we shouldn't, she started. I'm your caregiver. There are professional boundaries. I don't care about boundaries. Michael, do you want me to stop? She should say yes. Should remind him of all the reasons this was complicated, dangerous, probably a terrible idea. But she couldn't. No, she whispered. Don't stop. His hand curved around the back of her neck, drew her closer. And then they were kissing. Not the gentle, exploratory kiss she might have expected. This was fierce, desperate, hungry. Two people who had been fighting their way toward each other for weeks finally crashing together. Donna's hands gripped his shoulders, his fingers tangled in her braids. The kiss deepened, grew more urgent, like they were both trying to pour years of loneliness into this single moment of connection. When they finally broke apart, both gasping for breath, Michael rested his forehead against hers. Stay, he said. Not like that. Just stay, talk to me. She should go back to her room, should maintain at least some professional distance. But she stayed. They talked until 3 in the morning. About everything. About nothing. Michael told her about his father. About the pressure of taking over a billion-dollar company at 25 when he still felt like a kid. About the expectations that crushed him and the accident that nearly killed him. I was supposed to propose that night, he said at one point, his voice distant with memory. Her name was Chloe. We'd been together for 3 years. The ring was in my jacket pocket. I was going to ask her at dinner. Donna's chest tightened. What happened? The deer happened. But the accident happened. He shrugged, but she could see the old pain beneath the casual gesture. She stayed for 3 months after, tried to be supportive. But I was so angry, so bitter. I said terrible things to push her away, and eventually, she left. She left. I don't blame her. I made it impossible to stay. Do you still love her? Michael was quiet for a long moment, considering the question seriously. I thought I did. For a long time after, I thought the only thing that could save me was her coming back. That if she just walked through that door, everything would be okay again. He looked at Donna. But now I think I was just lonely and scared and holding on to something familiar because everything else had changed so drastically. What about now? Now. His eyes held hers, warm and certain. Now I think maybe the best things come from the most unexpected places. Donna's breath caught in her throat. Before she could respond, he asked, "What about you? Any ex-fiancés lurking in your past waiting to show up and complicate things?" She laughed, grateful for the lighter tone. No ex-fiancés, a few bad decisions in college that I'd rather not discuss, but nothing serious. What were you like in college? Ambitious, focused, completely obsessed with my future. She smiled at the memory. My mom used to say I was going to save the world one patient at a time. She was so proud when I got into nursing school. Your mom sounds amazing. She was. Donna's voice softened with love and grief intertwined. She was the most incredible person I've ever known. Strong, brave. She fought cancer for 2 years and never once felt sorry for herself. Never complained. Never gave up. Until the end. Until the very end. Tears pricked at Donna's eyes. She made me promise to finish what I started. Made me swear I would have a career and live a life she could be proud of. And your father? Donna's jaw tightened. Something shuddered in her expression. Pain, anger, betrayal all flickering across her face before she locked it down. That's a story for another night, she said, forcing her voice to stay even. I don't want to ruin this one with family drama. Michael studied her for a moment. He could tell she was holding something back, but he didn't push. Whenever you're ready to tell me, he said simply, I'll listen. Donna looked at him with surprise and gratitude. Most people pushed. Most people demanded answers. Most people couldn't handle being told to wait. Michael just offered patience. Thank you, she said quietly. That means more than you know. They sat in comfortable silence for a while after that, watching the moonlight shift across the floor, neither of them wanting the night to end. Neither of them wanting their newfound peace with each other to end. But someone had other ideas. A few days later, Kendrick showed up again. He arrived during one of their fencing sessions, strolling into the practice room like he owned the entire estate. Cousin? Kendrick drawled, leaning against the doorframe with an obnoxious smirk. Playing with swords? How quaint. Isn't that a bit dangerous for a man in your condition? Isn't existing dangerous for a man with your intelligence? Michael replied without missing a beat, not even looking up from correcting Donna's grip. Donna bit the inside of her cheek to keep from laughing. Kendrick's smirk faltered. Funny. You've gotten funny. Must be the new help improving your mood? His eyes slid to Donna with obvious interest, traveling slowly down her body in a way that made her skin crawl. Miss Ponce. He pushed off the doorframe and walked closer, not invading her personal space. Looking lovely, as always. I was thinking, maybe you'd like to get dinner sometime? There's an excellent restaurant downtown. Very exclusive, very private. No thank you. You didn't even consider it. I didn't need to. Donna kept her voice flat and final. Kendrick's expression shifted to something uglier. Playing hard to get? That's cute. But you should know, I always get what I want eventually. And you should know, I don't date men who make my skin crawl. Kendrick's face flushed red. You think you're too good for me? You're just the help, sweetheart. The hired nurse. Don't forget your place. Before Donna could respond with the profanity on the tip of her tongue, Michael wheeled between them. Call her sweetheart again, he said quietly, his voice cold enough to freeze fire. And I'll give you a personal demonstration of what I can still do with one of these swords. Kendrick laughed nervously. You're threatening me? That's rich coming from... That's not a threat, Kendrick. It's a promise. Michael's eyes were deadly serious. Now get out of my house before I call security and have you removed like the pest you are. Kendrick's face twisted with impotent rage. My father... Your father is a guest here. So are you. Guests can have their invitations revoked. Michael's smile was dangerous. Test me. For a long moment, Kendrick stood there, vibrating with fury. Then he turned and stormed out, throwing a poisonous look at Donna over his shoulder. This isn't over, he spat. It really is, Michael called after him. The moment Kendrick's footsteps faded, Donna let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. He's going to be a problem, she said. He's always been a problem, but he's also stupid. Michael's jaw was still tight with residual anger. Whatever he's planning, he'll mess it up. He always does. But Donna remembered the look in Kendrick's eyes, the humiliation, the fury. She wasn't so sure he'd mess this one up. February 14th arrived like a storm cloud over both their hearts. The anniversary. 2 years since Donna lost her mother. 2 years since Michael lost his legs. 2 years of grief and bitterness and loneliness pressing down on them like stones. Donna woke that morning with tears already drying on her cheeks, the remnants of dreams she couldn't quite remember but that left her feeling hollow and aching. She tried to get through the day normally, unchecked Michael's vitals, made sure he ate breakfast, went through the motions of her routine like a robot. But Michael noticed. Of course he noticed. You're quiet today, he said during their afternoon fencing practice, after she'd made the same mistake 3 times in a row. I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been staring into space all morning. You haven't made a single sarcastic comment since you woke up, and you just tried to parry with the wrong end of the sword. Donna looked down. He was right. She was holding the foil backwards. It's nothing, she said, flipping the sword around. Let's just practice. Donna. Something about the way he said her name, soft, concerned, intimate, broke through her walls. It's the anniversary, she admitted quietly. 2 years today. Michael's expression shifted with understanding. I know. How do you know? Because it's my anniversary too. He set down his practice foil. I've been dreading this day for weeks. Thought I'd spend it alone in my room, probably throwing things at walls. What changed? You. He looked at her with those amber-flecked eyes. I was going to ask if you wanted to go somewhere today. Together. Go somewhere? I haven't left this house in 2 years. Not once. Haven't wanted to face the world as... this. He gestured at his wheelchair, at himself. But I thought maybe, if you were with me... He trailed off, suddenly uncertain. Where did you want to go? Donna asked softly. Wherever you need to go. His voice was gentle. I thought maybe you might want to visit your mother's grave, and maybe, after, I could visit the place where everything changed for me. Donna stared at him. This man, who hadn't left his house in 2 years, who had locked himself away from the world, who had given up on everything. He was offering to leave his fortress of solitude to be with her on the worst day of her year. You'd do that? Her voice cracked. I'd do a lot of things for you, Donna Ponce. His smile was small but real. I think you're starting to figure that out. An hour later, they were in the back of Michael's private car, a vehicle modified for wheelchair access that hadn't been used since before the accident. The driver took them to a cemetery about 20 minutes from the estate. Small and quiet, surrounded by old oak trees and rolling green hills. Peaceful in a way that made Donna's heart ache. She wheeled Michael along the winding paths until they reached her mother's grave. The headstone was simple. White marble with elegant lettering. Clarice Ponce, beloved mother and wife. 1970 to 2023. In loving memory. Someone had placed fresh flowers recently. Probably her father. The thought made Donna's jaw tighten, grief tangling with anger. Tell me about her, Michael said softly. So Donna did. She talked about her mother's laugh, loud and unashamed, filling every room she entered. About her cooking, the best jollof rice in the entire state, a recipe that had been passed down for 3 generations. About the way she hummed gospel songs while doing dishes. About the terrible puns she made that were only funny because she laughed so hard at her own jokes. She talked about sitting by her mother's hospital bed in their living room because they couldn't afford hospice care, about reading to her even when she wasn't sure her mother could hear, about holding her hand at the very end. She said, "I'm so proud of you, baby girl. You're going to be amazing. Promise me you'll be amazing." Tears streamed down Donna's face. I promised. I promised her, Michael. And then 2 weeks later, my father started dating my best friend, Linda. And 6 months after that, my whole life fell apart. And I keep thinking, her voice broke completely. I keep thinking how disappointed she would be, that I'm struggling, that I'm so full of anger, I can't even. She stopped herself, couldn't say the rest. Can't even what? Michael asked gently. Nothing, it's nothing. Donna. She shook her head, more tears falling. Stop. Michael's voice was firm but gentle. Your mother would not be disappointed. He reached up and took her hand. She would be proud of you for surviving, for fighting, for showing up every single day even when it hurts so much you can barely breathe. You don't know that. I do know that. His grip tightened on her hand. Because I see you, Donna. I see how hard you work, how much you care, how you pretend to be hard and tough when you're actually one of the softest people I've ever met. I'm not soft. You painted my nails while I slept because I hurt your feelings. That's the softest form of revenge I've ever heard of. Despite herself, despite the tears, despite everything, Donna laughed. Michael tugged gently on her hand. Come here. She stepped closer, and he tugged again, guiding her down until she was kneeling in front of his wheelchair. Her knees pressed into the soft cemetery grass. Her face came level with his. Your mother wanted you to be amazing, he said, his voice low and intense. And you are. Maybe not in the way you planned. Maybe not with everything figured out yet. But you brought a bitter, broken man back to life. You made me laugh for the first time in 2 years. You made me want to fight again. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing away her tears. You're amazing, Donna. You just can't see it yet. She stared at him through blurred vision. At this man who had been her enemy, then her patient, then her friend, and now something more. Michael, I'm going to kiss you now, he said quietly. If that's okay. She nodded, unable to speak. He cradled her face in both hands, his thumbs tracing her cheekbones, wiping away the tears that kept falling. His fingers slid into her braids, tilting her head up slightly. And then he leaned forward and pressed his lips to hers. The world went absolutely silent. It wasn't a perfect kiss. She was crying. He was in a wheelchair. They were kneeling in the middle of a cemetery on the anniversary of the worst days of both their lives. But it was real. It was honest. It was two people choosing to hold on to each other instead of drowning separately. His lips were soft against hers, gentle at first, almost questioning. But when she leaned into him, when her hands came up to grip his shoulders, the kiss deepened, grew more urgent, more desperate. Like they were both trying to pour years of loneliness into this single moment of connection. Donna kissed him back with everything she had. All her grief, all her anger, all her hope, all the feelings she'd been fighting for weeks now. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were trembling. Thank you for letting me do this, Michael admitted, his voice rough. We have done it before. Yes, it's just, I didn't think I deserved it. I'd convinced myself that no one could ever want me like this. He gestured at the wheelchair. Broken. Useless. Half a man. Donna grabbed his face in both hands, forcing him to look at her. You are not half a man. You are not broken. You are not useless. Her eyes blazed with fierce certainty. You are Michael Gavin. You are brilliant and frustrating and impossible, and you made me laugh when I thought I'd forgotten how. You are everything, do you hear me? Everything. Something cracked open in his expression. Vulnerability. Wonder. Hope. I want to live, he said, his voice barely a whisper. I haven't wanted that in 2 years. but I want it now, because of you. Then live. Her thumbs stroked his cheeks. Fight for your company. Fight for your mother. Fight for your future. And you? Will you be part of that future? Donna leaned forward and kissed him again. Soft this time. A promise. You said it yourself, you only give up on life when you're 6 feet under, she murmured against his lips. As long as we're above ground, we're fighting. Together, just like I promised. Michael pulled her closer, wrapping his arms around her, holding on like she was the only thing keeping him anchored to the earth. Together, he repeated. I like the sound of that. They stayed like that for a long time, holding each other in front of her mother's grave. The 2 weeks after the cemetery were the happiest of Donna's life. She and Michael didn't try to hide their relationship. Couldn't have even if they'd wanted to. The way they looked at each other gave everything away. Rita noticed first. She walked into the fencing room to find them laughing together, Michael's hand resting on the small of Donna's back as he corrected her stance and raised one knowing eyebrow. About time, was all she said. Evelyn noticed next. She found them having breakfast together, Michael actually smiling as Donna teased him about his coffee order. Ma then burst into tears of joy right there in the dining room. My boy, she kept saying, hugging Michael so tight he complained he couldn't breathe. My boy is back. Even the other staff members noticed the change. The house felt different. Lighter, like someone had thrown open all the curtains and let fresh air sweep away 2 years of darkness and dust. And somewhere in those 2 weeks, Donna fell completely, irrevocably, terrifyingly in love. It happened in small moments, like when Michael insisted on practicing a complicated parry with her for 2 hours straight, getting frustrated, then laughing at himself for expecting perfection from a beginner. Like when she caught him practicing standing in the middle of the night, his face set with determination, his arms shaking with effort but his jaw locked with absolute refusal to give up. Like when he remembered her coffee order without being told. Black with 2 sugars, just like her mother used to make. Like when he held her after a nightmare about her mom, not saying anything, not offering empty platitudes, just being there. Present, solid, real, small moments. But they added up to something huge, something that scared her as much as it thrilled her. Then came the visit that changed everything. It happened on a random Tuesday afternoon. Donna was in the kitchen reviewing Michael's medication schedule when Rita appeared in the doorway. Miss Ponce? Rita's expression was carefully neutral. You have visitors. Donna frowned. Visitors? I didn't. Then she heard the voices in the main hall. Warren's voice, uncertain and pleading, and Linda's voice, soft and worried. And underneath both, a baby's fussing. Donna's blood went cold. She walked to the main hall like she was walking to her own execution. And there they were. Warren, looking older than the last time she'd seen him, stress lines carved deep around his eyes. Linda clutching the baby against her chest, her own eyes red like she'd been crying. And the baby. Donna couldn't bring herself to think of her as a sister. Couldn't wrap her mind around that word. This child was her father's daughter with another woman. Linda's daughter. A stranger's baby who happened to share some of her DNA. Not her sister. She refused to let that word take root in her heart. 8 months old now. Chubby cheeks, curly hair that was finally starting to grow in, and big brown eyes that lit up like fireworks the moment they landed on Donna. Da da da, the baby babbled, her whole body straining forward. Little arms reaching desperately. Da da da. Donna's heart clenched painfully. She knew that sound, knew what it meant. The baby wasn't saying Dada. She was saying the closest thing her 7-month-old mouth could manage to Donna. She was calling for her, reaching for her, wanting her. And Donna felt sick with how much she wanted to reach back. What are you doing here? Her voice came out cold, hard, a shield against the emotions threatening to overwhelm her. Warren stepped forward, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. Harmony's been upset ever since you left. Really upset. She cries all the time. Won't sleep through the night anymore. The only thing that calms her down is looking at pictures. Linda interrupted softly. Pictures of you and her together. From when you'd play with her when you thought we weren't looking. Donna's shield cracked. They'd known? They'd seen her sneaking moments with the baby? I have a whole album on my phone, Linda continued, her voice trembling. You making her laugh. You feeding her when I was too tired. You rocking her to sleep when she wouldn't settle for anyone else. Donna wanted to scream that this baby wasn't hers to rock, wasn't hers to feed, wasn't hers to love. This was Linda's child, Warren's child, not Donna's anything. But her heart wasn't listening to her head. I know you don't believe me, Linda said, tears spilling down her cheeks. I know you think I'm a terrible person, but I see how much you love her. And she loves you too, Donna. She's miserable without you. The baby, Harmony, was crying now. Real tears, her little face red and scrunched up with distress, still reaching for Donna with desperate, grasping hands. Da 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 da. Every cry felt like a knife to Donna's heart. She's not my sister, Donna told herself fiercely. I'm not her big sister. I'm nothing to her. I'm nothing to any of them. But the words felt hollow, false, like a lie she was telling herself because the truth was too painful to accept. Warren moved closer. Donna, please. I know I've made mistakes. Unforgivable mistakes. I know I hurt you in ways I can never fully repair. But please, his voice broke. Please don't punish Harmony for my failures. She's innocent. She just wants what? Donna's voice cracked. Her big sister? Is that what you were going to say? Warren flinched. I'm not her big sister. The words tasted like ash in Donna's mouth. I'm not anything to her. She's your daughter, Dad. Yours and Linda's. I'm just the leftover from your first family, the one you threw away. That's not true. You need to leave. Donna's voice was barely holding together. Leave, please. I can't do this right now. Linda looked devastated. Warren looked like his heart was breaking in real time. But they turned to go. Harmony screamed, not just crying anymore. Screaming, thrashing in Linda's arms, reaching for Donna with everything she had. The baby didn't care about Donna's semantics. Didn't care that Donna refused to call her sister. Didn't understand the complicated web of betrayal and grief that made their connection so painful. She just knew she wanted Donna. And Donna was letting her go. The sound followed them all the way out the door. The moment the front door closed, Donna's legs gave out. She slid down the wall, back scraping against the expensive wallpaper, and crumpled to the floor. Drew her knees to her chest, wrapped her arms around herself, and sobbed. Deep, ugly, soul-wrenching sobs that tore out of her like something dying. She didn't hear the wheelchair approaching. Didn't notice until Michael was there, lowering himself carefully from his chair to the floor beside her, wrapping his arms around her shaking body. I wanted to hold her, Donna gasped through her tears. I wanted to hold that baby so badly, Michael. Did you hear her? She was calling my name. She knows who I am. A sob cut her off. I heard, he said quietly, holding her tighter. She thinks I'm her sister. She doesn't understand that I can't, that I won't. Donna shook her head violently. But I'm not her sister. I'm not. Linda is not my family. That baby is not my family. My family is dead. My family is buried in a cemetery 20 minutes from here. Donna, but then why does it hurt so much? She looked up at him with anguished eyes. Why does it feel like I'm abandoning her? Why do I want to hold her so badly when I can't even make myself say the word sister? Michael was quiet for a moment, stroking her hair. Maybe, he said gently. The word doesn't matter as much as the feeling. What does that mean? It means you can love that little girl without calling her your sister. You can care about her without accepting what your father did. You can let her into your heart without letting Linda and Warren off the hook. Donna shook her head. It's not that simple. Isn't it? Michael tilted her chin up so she had to look at him. You're punishing yourself, Donna. That baby reaches for you because you made her feel safe. That's not about labels. That's about love. I can't love her. If I love her, I have to accept. You don't have to accept anything except that an 8-month-old child loves you and needs you. His voice was firm but gentle. Everything else, the forgiveness, the labels, the reconciliation, that can come later. Or never. It's your choice. But don't let your anger at your father rob you of something beautiful. Donna stared at him through blurred vision. When did you get so wise? I've had a lot of therapy. Some of it stuck. He smiled slightly. Also, I've watched you fight so hard against loving someone who clearly loves you back. It's exhausting just to witness. A watery laugh escaped her. I hate you. No, you don't. No, she admitted. I don't. She buried her face in his shoulder again. I'm not ready to call her my sister, she said quietly. I might never be ready. That's okay. But maybe I can stop pretending I don't care about her. That sounds like progress to me. They sat on the floor of that grand hallway for a long time, two broken people holding each other up. All right, y'all. If this story is hitting you in your feelings right now, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment telling me who you relate to more. Donna with her family pain, or Michael with his physical challenges. I want to hear your stories, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that button, because we're about to get to the part where everything explodes. Remember, Donna is still faking to be a certified nurse and is risking this job and Michael's trust if her secret is exposed? And well, some secrets can't stay hidden, especially if there's someone snooping around. Someone like Kendrick? Will Michael's love for her survive the big reveal? The week after Warren and Linda's visit passed in a blur of fencing lessons, late-night conversations, and stolen kisses. Michael was getting stronger every day. He could stand for almost 2 minutes now, could walk a few steps holding onto furniture. His doctors were amazed at the progress, but Michael kept it secret from everyone except Donna. Not yet, he said when she asked why. I want to be ready. I want to walk into that boardroom on my own 2 feet when I take back my company. That's dramatic. I'm a billionaire. Drama is expected. She laughed and kissed him, which was becoming her favorite way to end every conversation. Things with Malcolm had been quiet. Too quiet. He still visited Evelyn, still brought flowers and charm. But there had been no major moves, no obvious power plays, and it felt like the calm before a hurricane. And then came the dinner party. Malcolm had arranged what he called a family gathering at the estate. Evelyn, Michael, Malcolm, Kendrick, and a few of Evelyn's society friends from the charitable foundation board. And Donna, whom Michael had insisted on including. You're not the help, he'd said when she protested. Not anymore. You're with me. Michael, these people are millionaires and socialites. I don't belong. You belong wherever I am. He'd taken her hand. Please, I want you there. So here she was, sitting at a table with people who had more money in their bank accounts than she'd see in a lifetime, wearing a dress Michael had given her money to buy at a boutique, trying not to feel like a fraud. Because that's exactly what she was. A fraud, with fake credentials, unsitting among billionaires. The first few courses passed without incident. Polite conversation, comments about the weather, the stock market, someone's new yacht. Donna stayed quiet, eating her food, trying to be invisible. Then dessert arrived. And Kendrick stood up with his wine glass, that smug smile spreading across his face like an oil slick. I'd like to make a toast, he announced, his voice carrying across the table. To family, to truth, and to the people who think they can deceive us. Every nerve in Donna's body went on high alert. No, 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 no. Kendrick, Malcolm said warningly, something flickering in his expression. This isn't the time. But Kendrick was already turning to face Donna, his eyes glittering with malicious pleasure. I've discovered something absolutely fascinating about our dear Miss Ponce. He paused for dramatic effect, clearly savoring the moment. She's not actually a nurse. Gasps rippled around the table like a wave. Donna's heart stopped beating. She's a dropout, Kendrick continued gleefully. A fraud. She lied on her application and has been caring for my cousin under false pretenses for over a month. Every eye in the room turned to Donna. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The room was spinning. Donna. Evelyn's voice was sharp as a blade, her face pale with shock. Is this true? Donna opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her throat had closed completely. She can't even deny it. Kendrick laughed. Look at her face. Guilty as sin. Donna's voice cracked. I can explain. Explain what? That you're a liar? Kendrick was enjoying this far too much. You wormed your way into this family with fake credentials. Who knows what else you've lied about? Who knows what your real agenda is? That's not, I would never. Mrs. Gavin. Kendrick turned to Evelyn with mock sympathy. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. I know how much you trusted her. But I couldn't let this woman continue to deceive you. She's been caring for your son without any real qualifications. She could have killed him. Evelyn's face went from pale to red to furious. You lied to me? Her voice rose. I trusted you. I brought you into my home, gave you access to my son, and you were a fraud this whole time? Tears spilled down Donna's cheeks. Mrs. Gavin, please, I had almost all my training. I just needed one more semester to finish. One more semester? You're not even a nurse. Evelyn stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. Do you have any idea what could have happened? Any idea the liability you've exposed this family to? The danger you put my son in? I would never hurt Michael. Never. Save it. Evelyn's eyes were blazing. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear anything from you. Malcolm leaned back in his chair, his expression carefully neutral, but Donna caught the satisfaction lurking beneath. I think we've heard enough, he said smoothly. Evelyn, darling, let's call security. This woman needs to leave immediately. Donna looked around the table desperately, at the horrified faces of Evelyn's society friends, at Kendrick's triumphant smirk, at Malcolm's satisfied expression barely hidden beneath his mask of concern, and at Michael. He hadn't said a word. He was just sitting there, his expression unreadable, watching her world crumble around her. Something died in Donna's chest. Of course. What did she expect? She'd lied to him too. She'd been lying to everyone from the very beginning. Why would he defend her? Why would anyone? You're right, she said, her voice breaking. You're all right. I lied. I needed the money to finish my degree, and I lied, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She pushed back from the table, tears streaming down her face. I'll pack my things and leave tonight. She looked at Michael one last time, at the man she loved, the man she'd healed, the man she was about to lose forever. I'm sorry I wasn't what you needed me to be, she whispered. And then she turned and walked toward the door. Every step felt like walking through quicksand. Her vision was blurred with tears. Her heart was shattering into a million pieces with every footfall. This was it. It was over. Everything she'd built, everything she'd hoped for, everything she'd allowed herself to dream. A hand grabbed her wrist, hard. Donna spun around, nearly stumbling with the force of it. Michael had wheeled himself after her with shocking speed. His grip on her wrist was like iron. His eyes blazed with something fierce, something powerful, something that made her breath catch. Where do you think you're going? She tried to pull away. I have to leave. You heard them. I'm a fraud. You're not leaving. Michael, I said you're not leaving. The command in his voice shocked her into absolute stillness. He didn't let go of her wrist. Instead, he turned his chair to face the table, pulling her with him. Everyone, listen carefully. His voice was ice cold, carrying across the room with the authority of a man who'd run a billion-dollar company. Because I'm only going to say this once. The room went dead silent. Donna did lie about her credentials. That's true. He looked at his mother, at Malcolm, at Kendrick, at every single person sitting at that table. And do you know why she didn't have it? No one answered. Because her father cut off her tuition to fund his new wife's lifestyle. The same father who married her best friend 7 months after her mother died. The same father who abandoned her when she needed him most. Donna's breath caught. How did he? But she knew how. The late-night conversations. And the things she'd hinted at about her family. The pain she hadn't been able to hide completely. He'd been listening, piecing it together, understanding without being told. So, yes, she lied to get this job. Because she was desperate. Because she was trying to survive. Because nobody else was going to save her, so she had to save herself. Michael's voice rose. And in the month she's been here, she has done more for my recovery than every certified, licensed, properly credentialed nurse before her combined. He turned to face Evelyn directly. Mother, I was dying. Not physically. The accident took care of that part. But I was dying inside. I hadn't laughed in 2 years, hadn't wanted to live, hadn't cared about anything or anyone, including myself. His voice cracked slightly. And then this woman walked in. I dodged a book I threw at her head, called me out on my terrible behavior, and painted my nails hot pink while I slept because I was being cruel to her. A shocked laugh escaped one of the society ladies. She made me want to live again, Michael continued. She made me eat. She made me practice. She made me fight. She made me stand up, actually stand up, for the first time in 2 years. Evelyn's anger wavered. You stood? I've been hiding my recovery because I was afraid to hope. But Donna made me hope anyway. He looked at Donna, really looked at her, and his eyes were soft with everything he felt. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I love her. The room erupted in whispers. Donna couldn't breathe, couldn't think. He loved her. He'd said it out loud in front of everyone. I'm in front of his mother and his enemies and a room full of strangers. He loved her. So, here's what's going to happen, Michael continued, his voice turning hard as steel. Donna is staying. She's going to complete her nursing degree. I'll pay for it myself. And anyone who has a problem with that can leave my house right now. He looked at Kendrick, and his gaze could have frozen fire. That includes you, cousin. If I ever hear you disrespecting Donna again, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of your pathetic life. Kendrick's face went purple with rage and humiliation. You can't just... I can, because I'm also announcing something else tonight. Michael straightened in his wheelchair, his presence suddenly commanding the entire room. I'm taking back my position as CEO of Gavin Industries. Effective immediately. Malcolm's carefully neutral expression finally cracked. You can't do that. The board has to approve any leadership changes. The board works for me. This is my father's company, my company. Michael's voice was pure steel. And I'm done letting other people run it while I hide in this house feeling sorry for myself. He looked around the table, his gaze landing on Malcolm last. I'm throwing a celebration party next week. Everyone here is invited. His eyes hardened. Everyone. The threat was crystal clear. Whatever game Malcolm was playing, it ended now. Donna stood there trembling, tears still wet on her cheeks, completely overwhelmed by everything that had just happened. Michael tugged gently on her hand. Come here. She stepped closer, and he pulled her down onto his lap. I'd right there in front of everyone. His arms wrapped around her waist, holding her close. I love you, he said, quiet enough that only she could hear. I don't care about your credentials. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I love you. All of you. Donna buried her face in his shoulder. I love you too, she whispered back. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the school thing. I was afraid. I know why you didn't tell me. And it doesn't matter. He pressed a kiss to her hair. You're not alone anymore, Donna. Whatever comes next, we face it together. She held on to him and cried. But this time, the tears weren't from despair or humiliation or shame. They were from relief, from gratitude, from a love so overwhelming she didn't know her heart could hold it all. When she finally lifted her head, She saw Evelyn watching them from across the table. The anger had drained from her face, replaced by something softer, something that looked almost like acceptance. "Well," Evelyn said finally, her voice only slightly shaky, "I suppose we have a party to plan." Y'all, Michael just defended Donna in front of everyone, announced he's taking back his company, and declared his love for her in the most dramatic way possible. If you're not screaming at your screen right now, I don't know what's wrong with you. Drop a comment telling me what you think is going to happen next. Will Malcolm go quietly? Will Kendrick try something stupid? Will Donna finally get to hold that baby? Everything is about to come to a head. The night of the celebration party arrived with all the grandeur the Gavin estate could muster. The rooftop terrace had been transformed into something out of a fairy tale. Thousands of tiny white lights strung overhead like captured stars. Elegant tables draped in cream linens. An orchestra playing soft jazz in one corner. Champagne towers gleaming gold in the moonlight. And beyond it all, the Atlantic Ocean stretched to the horizon, dark and endless and beautiful. Donna stood at the edge of the terrace, gripping a glass of champagne she hadn't touched, trying to remember how to breathe. "You look like you're about to face a firing squad," Michael said, wheeling up beside her. She turned to look at him and felt her heart stutter the way it always did now. He was devastating tonight. Custom-tailored black suit that made his caramel skin glow, crisp white shirt open at the collar, that 5 o'clock shadow perfectly groomed, those amber-flecked eyes that saw right through her. Even in the wheelchair, he commanded attention, commanded the room, commanded her. "I feel like I'm about to face a firing squad," Donna admitted. "All these people, Michael, they're millionaires and socialites and board members. They probably think you're the woman who brought me back to life." He took her free hand, intertwining their fingers. "And if any of them have a problem with you, they can take it up with me. Your mother still looks at me like she's not sure if she should hug me or have me arrested. Give her time. She's coming around." "Is she?" As if on cue, Evelyn appeared at Donna's elbow. Donna tensed, preparing for another confrontation. But Evelyn simply looked at her for a long moment, something complicated moving behind her eyes. "No, that dress looks lovely on you," Evelyn said finally. "But it's missing something." She reached into her clutch and pulled out a velvet box. "This was my mother's. Jerome gave it to me on our wedding day." She opened the box to reveal a stunning sapphire pendant on a delicate gold chain. "I'd like you to wear it tonight." Donna's jaw dropped. "Mrs. Gavin, I can't." "You can. And you will." Evelyn's voice brooked no argument, but there was warmth underneath. "My son loves you. You brought him back when I thought I'd lost him forever. The least I can do is make sure you look the part." She stepped behind Donna and fastened the necklace with practiced hands. "There." Evelyn squeezed Donna's shoulders gently. "Now you look like you belong." Donna's eyes filled with tears. Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." Evelyn's expression turned serious. "Just promise me you'll take care of him. He pretends to be strong, but he's been through so much. He needs someone who sees past the armor." "I promise." Evelyn nodded once, satisfied, and glided away to greet her guests. Michael was grinning when Donna turned back to him. "Told you she was coming around." "Shut up." But she was smiling too. "Now, y'all, I need you to understand something. This party was supposed to be a celebration. Michael's triumphant return, his announcement to the board, the beginning of a new chapter. But Malcolm Gavin had other plans. And those plans? They were about to turn this fairy tale into a nightmare." The first hour of the party passed smoothly enough. Michael made his rounds, shaking hands with board members, accepting congratulations, radiating confidence despite the wheelchair. Donna stayed close, but not too close, learning to navigate this world of money and power that felt so foreign to her. She watched him charm a group of investors with ease, watched him deflect questions about his recovery with practiced grace, watched him be the brilliant, magnetic leader he was always meant to be. And she fell a little more in love with every passing minute. "You're staring?" Donna jumped. Rita had appeared beside her, holding a tray of champagne glasses. "I'm observing," Donna corrected. "There's a difference." Rita's knowing smile said she wasn't fooled for a second. "He looks good tonight. Happy. Alive. You did that." He did that himself? I just annoyed him into it. Rita laughed, a rare sound that transformed her usually stern face. Sometimes annoyance is exactly what a person needs, shakes them out of their self-pity. Speaking from experience? Let's just say I've been working for this family for 30 years. I've seen a lot of wallowing. Rita's expression sobered. I've also seen a lot of people try to tear this family apart. So watch yourself tonight. Not everyone here wants what's best for Michael. Donna followed Rita's gaze across the terrace. Malcolm stood near the champagne tower, deep in conversation with two men in expensive suits. He looked perfectly composed, perfectly pleasant, perfectly at ease. But there was something in the set of his shoulders, something coiled and waiting. You see it too, Donna said quietly. I see a man who's been planning something for a very long time. Rita's voice dropped. A man who doesn't like having his plans disrupted. Be careful, Miss Ponce. A cornered snake is the most dangerous kind. She moved away before Donna could respond, leaving her with a chill that had nothing to do with the ocean breeze. 30 minutes later, Donna excused herself to use the restroom. The interior of the mansion was quieter than the rooftop, the sounds of the party fading to a distant hum as she made her way down the elegant hallway. She was just passing Malcolm's favorite study when she heard voices. Urgent voices. Angry voices. She stopped, pressed herself against the wall, listened. Running out of time. That was Malcolm, his smooth composure cracking. Michael announced his return. The board is rallying behind him. By Monday, I'll have lost all access to the accounts. Then we accelerate. A voice Donna didn't recognize. Deep. Cold. The original timeline was too cautious anyway. Accelerate how? The papers aren't signed. Evelyn is pulling back. She's suspicious now. Then we skip the papers. A pause. There are other ways to ensure you inherit what you deserve. Donna's blood ran cold. Inherit. They were talking about inheritance, which meant they were talking about... You're suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Malcolm's voice was strange, not horrified, calculating. I'm suggesting that accidents happen, Mr. Gavin, especially to disabled men at crowded rooftop parties. One wrong move near the railing, a stumble, a fall, very tragic, very believable. Donna's hand flew to her mouth, trapping the gasp before it could escape. And they were planning to end Michael, tonight, at his own party. And if someone interferes, Malcolm asked, then they have an accident too. The nurse, perhaps. She's been a thorn in your side since she arrived. She has, but she's also useful as a scapegoat. When Michael falls, she'll be the obvious suspect. The fraud who wormed her way into the family. The gold digger who couldn't wait for her payday. Donna's legs trembled. She needed to move, needed to warn Michael, needed to... What about my son? Malcolm continued. Kendrick knows nothing of this. Keep it that way. Plausible deniability. He thinks we're just managing accounts, nothing more. Good. He's useful but unreliable. He doesn't have the stomach for... A floorboard creaked under Donna's foot. The voices stopped. Did you hear that? Malcolm asked sharply. But Donna didn't wait to hear more. She ran. Her borrowed heels clattered against the marble floor as she sprinted down the hallway. Behind her, she heard the study door open, heard Malcolm's voice calling out. Who's there? Show yourself. She ducked around a corner, pressed herself into an alcove and held her breath. Footsteps approached, paused, then retreated. Probably one of the catering staff, the unknown voice said dismissively. Let's focus. We have a party to attend. More footsteps, the study door closing. Donna waited until her heartbeat stopped thundering in her ears. Then she slipped off her heels and ran barefoot toward the rooftop. She burst through the terrace doors like a woman possessed. Her eyes scanned the crowd frantically. Where was Michael? Where was... There, by the far railing, surrounded by board members. Laughing at something someone had said. Right next to a 3-story drop. Donna pushed through the crowd, ignoring the scandalized looks, the champagne she knocked out of someone's hand, the protests that followed in her wake. Michael! She reached him, grabbing his wheelchair handles. We need to talk, now, privately. He took one look at her face and his smile vanished. "Excuse me," he said to the board members, his voice suddenly sharp. "Family emergency." He didn't ask questions, didn't demand explanations. Just let her wheel him away from the crowd, away from the railing, away from the edge of death. They ducked into a quiet corner near the service entrance. "What happened?" Michael's voice was low and urgent. "You're shaking." "Malcolm." Donna's voice trembled. "I heard him talking to someone in the study. They're planning to—" She couldn't say it. "They're going to— Going to what?" "Donna, talk to me." Before Donna could respond, Malcolm appeared at Michael's elbow. "Nephew." His smile was warm as ever, not a hint of the monster lurking beneath. "Wonderful party. The board members are impressed. They're saying your return might be exactly what the company needs. That's the goal." Michael's voice was perfectly pleasant, perfectly normal. "Thank you for being here, Uncle. I know how busy you've been. Family first, always." Malcolm's eyes flickered to Donna. "Miss Ponce, you look lovely tonight." "Thank you." The words felt like glass in her throat. "I hope you're enjoying yourself. After all the drama of the past few weeks, you deserve a night of celebration." Drama. Like destroying her reputation at dinner, but like planning her boyfriend's murder. "I'm having a wonderful time," Donna managed. Malcolm's smile widened. "Excellent. Michael, there's someone I'd like you to meet, an investor from Singapore, very interested in the company's expansion plans." "Of course." Michael began to wheel himself forward, then paused. "Donna, would you mind getting me some water? All this talking is making me parched." "Sure thing." She forced a smile. "I'll find you." She watched them go, Malcolm's hand resting on Michael's wheelchair like a friendly gesture, like a predator guiding its prey. The next hour was torture. Donna circled the party like a shark, never letting Michael out of her sight for more than a few seconds. She watched Malcolm introduce him to guest after guest, always keeping him moving, always seeming supportive. But she noticed patterns. Malcolm was slowly guiding Michael toward the far end of the terrace. The end with the most dramatic view. The end with the lowest railing. And she noticed the man. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair graying at the temples. Expensive suit that didn't quite fit the crowd. Too practical, too functional. He stayed at the edges of the party, never speaking to anyone. Just watching. Watching Michael. Every time Malcolm moved Michael toward the railing, the man shifted positions, getting closer, getting ready. Donna's heart hammered in her chest. She needed to do something, needed to— Well, if it isn't the little fraud. Kendrick materialized beside her, champagne in hand, that smug smile firmly in place. "Not now, Kendrick." "Oh, definitely now." He stepped closer, blocking her view of Michael. "You know, I've been thinking about what happened at dinner, how my cousin defended you, made me look like a fool in front of everyone. You didn't need my help for that." His smile curdled. "Funny, you're very funny. But here's the thing. I always get the last laugh. Move." "I don't think I will." He stepped closer still, crowding her space. "See, I know something you don't know. Something about tonight. Something that's going to change everything." Donna's blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "Just that by the end of this party, you and my dear cousin are going to learn a very important lesson." His breath reeked of champagne. "Nobody makes a fool of Kendrick Gavin." "What did you do?" "Me? Nothing. I'm just aware of possibilities." He laughed, clearly pleased with himself. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get a better view of the fireworks." He sauntered away, heading toward the far end of the terrace, toward the railing, toward Michael. Donna's eyes snapped to where she'd last seen Michael. He wasn't there. She scanned the crowd frantically. Where was he? Where? There. Malcolm was wheeling him toward the railing. Slowly, casually. Just two family members enjoying the view. And the unknown man was closing in from the other side. Donna didn't think. She just moved. She pushed through the crowd, not caring about the champagne she spilled, the protests she ignored, the scene she was making. "Michael!" Her scream cut through the noise of the party. Everything happened at once. Malcolm's hand tightened on the wheelchair handles, pushing forward instead of stopping. The unknown man lunged toward Michael from the side. And Kendrick, who was supposed to know nothing about the murder plot, reached out and grabbed Donna's arm, yanking her back. "No, you don't," Kendrick hissed. "You're not ruining this. Let go of me." Donna struggled, but his grip was like iron. She watched in horror as Malcolm shoved the wheelchair toward the railing. Watched Michael try to brake, his hands gripping the wheels. Watched the chair hit the low barrier. Watched Michael tip forward. "Die, no!" The scream tore from her throat as she wrenched herself free from Kendrick with a strength she didn't know she had. She ran, but she wasn't going to make it. She was too far. Michael was going over. Malcolm was stepping back, his face a mask of false horror. The unknown man was already melting into the crowd. Michael was going to die, and then Michael grabbed the railing, not just grabbed it, gripped it, with both hands, his arms straining, his body half over the edge. And then he did something impossible. He pushed himself up, pushed himself back, pushed himself onto his feet. The crowd gasped in collective shock. Michael stood there, swaying, gripping the railing for support, but standing. On his own 2 feet, at the edge of a 3-story drop. "What?" Malcolm's face went white. "How are you?" "Surprise," sought Uncle. Michael's voice was steady despite the obvious strain. "The reports of my disability have been greatly exaggerated." And then Donna was there, slamming into him from behind, wrapping her arms around his waist, pulling him back from the edge with every ounce of strength she possessed. They stumbled backward together. Michael's legs buckled. He wasn't strong enough yet to stand for long, and they both went down in a tangle of limbs. But they went down away from the edge. Away from death. Alive. The next few minutes were chaos. Security swarmed the rooftop. Guests screamed and scattered. Someone called the police. Malcolm tried to run. He didn't get far. 4 security guards tackled him before he reached the service entrance. The unknown man was grabbed at the main door, his fake invitation immediately flagged as a forgery. And Kendrick stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, his face a mask of confusion and dawning horror. "I didn't know," he kept saying. "I swear I didn't know. I thought we were just scaring them. I didn't know he was actually going to—" "Shut up, Kendrick." Malcolm's voice was venom as security dragged him past. "You stupid, useless boy. You've ruined everything." "Me? You're the one who—" "Enough." Evelyn's voice cut through the chaos like a whip. She stood in the center of the terrace, shaking but commanding. Her eyes moved from Malcolm to Kendrick to the unknown man being held by security. "What is happening here? What did you do?" "Evelyn, darling, this is all a misunderstanding." "Don't you dare call me darling." Evelyn's voice cracked like ice. "I trusted you. I let you into my home, into my finances, into my—" She stopped, for her face flushing. "I almost let you into my heart. And all this time, you were planning to kill my son?" "It wasn't like that. I was protecting the family legacy. The legacy you threw away 25 years ago." Evelyn was crying now, but her voice only got stronger. "You sold your shares because you were a coward. You spent the next 2 decades resenting my husband for building what you abandoned. And when Jerome died, you saw your chance, didn't you?" Malcolm's mask finally cracked. "It should have been mine." His voice was raw, ugly. "I started that company. I had the vision. Jerome just had the luck. And when he died, I thought, finally, I could take back what was stolen from me. Nothing was stolen from you. You gave it away. Because I was scared. Because I didn't have faith. And I've paid for that mistake every day for 25 years. Watching you all live in luxury while I scraped by on the crumbs Jerome threw me." "Crumbs?" Evelyn laughed bitterly. "You have a mansion, 3 cars, a trust fund for Kendrick that most people would kill for? That was crumbs? It was nothing compared to what I deserved. You deserved nothing." Michael's voice joined the conversation. He was still on the ground, Donna supporting him, but his voice carried across the terrace with absolute authority. You were my father's best friend, his brother in everything but blood, and you threw that away because you couldn't stand to see him succeed. Michael's eyes were cold. You didn't just try to kill me tonight, Malcolm. You've been trying to kill this family for years, slowly, carefully, taking what you could, or waiting for your moment. Michael? No, you don't get to say my name. You don't get to pretend we're family. Family doesn't hire hitmen to throw you off rooftops. The police arrived then, pouring onto the terrace in a flood of uniforms and authority. Malcolm was handcuffed. The unknown man, who turned out to be a professional criminal with a long record, was handcuffed. Even Kendrick was taken for questioning, despite his hysterical protests that he didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know. And through it all, Donna held on to Michael like if she let go, he might disappear. It was hours before the chaos settled. The guests were sent home. Statements were taken. Evidence was gathered. The police promised a full investigation, charges of attempted murder, conspiracy, financial fraud, and a half-dozen other crimes that Donna couldn't even follow. By the time the last officer left, the sun was starting to rise over the ocean. Donna and Michael sat together on the terrace, wrapped in a blanket, watching the sky turn pink and gold. Neither of them had slept. Neither of them wanted to. You stood up, Donna said finally. You actually stood up and saved yourself. I had motivation. Michael's arm tightened around her. You were running toward me, screaming my name, looking absolutely terrified. I couldn't let you watch me die. That's very romantic in a deeply traumatic way. He laughed, tired and rough, but real. I love you, Donna Ponce. Have I mentioned that recently? Not in the last few hours. I love you. I'm going to keep saying it until you get tired of hearing it. I don't think I'll ever get tired of hearing it. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sunrise paint the ocean in shades of fire. Then Michael spoke again. I want to marry you. Donna's heart stopped. What? I want to marry you. He shifted to face her, wincing slightly. The night had taken a toll on his still recovering body. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other for a few months. I know there's still so much we need to figure out. But almost dying tonight made one thing very clear. What's that? That I don't want to waste another minute. That I spent 2 years trapped in bitterness and despair, and you pulled me out. That every moment I'm not with you feels like a moment wasted. He took her hands in his. I don't have a ring. This isn't planned. This is just me, asking you to spend the rest of your life annoying me and painting my nails and making me laugh. Tears streamed down Donna's face. Michael, you don't have to answer now. You can take all the time you need. I just wanted you to know what I want. What I've wanted since you knelt in front of my wheelchair and told me I wasn't broken. Donna looked at him. At this man who had been her enemy, her patient, her friend, her love. At the face that had been frozen in bitterness and was now soft with hope. Yes, she said. His eyes widened. Yes? Yes, I'll marry you, you dramatic, impossible, infuriating man. She was laughing and crying at the same time. But we're doing it properly, with a ring. And a proposal that isn't on a rooftop where you almost died. Fair enough. He was grinning now, that devastating smile that transformed his whole face. But this is binding. No takebacks. No takebacks. He kissed her then, with the sunrise blazing behind them and the ocean singing below, and a future stretching out before them that neither of them had dared to imagine. When they finally broke apart, both of them were crying. There's one more thing I want, Michael said. What's that? I want you to make peace with your father. Donna's joy flickered. Michael, hear me out. He squeezed her hands. I'm not saying you have to forgive him. I'm not saying you have to pretend everything is okay. But I've seen you torture yourself over that baby, over calling her your sister. And I don't want you to carry that weight into our marriage. I don't know if I can. You can. His voice was certain. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You can do anything. He paused. and I want to ask your father's permission. Donna blinked. What? To marry you. I want to ask his permission. The old-fashioned way. Michael's expression was serious. Not because you belong to him, not because you need his approval, but because it's a gesture, a bridge, a way to start healing the wound between you. He doesn't deserve... No, he probably doesn't. But you deserve peace. And sometimes peace requires reaching out first, even when it's unfair. Donna stared at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. Fine. But if he says anything about Linda being a better daughter, I'm walking out. Fair enough. All right, y'all. We're in the final stretch now. Michael proposed. Donna said yes. And now they're about to face the one challenge that might be harder than surviving a murder attempt. Family reconciliation. If you're ready for this emotional finale, drop a heart emoji in the comments. And if you've been on this journey since the beginning, comment, I was here from the beginning. Now let's finish this story the right way. 3 days later, Donna and Michael pulled up to Warren Ponce's house. It looked smaller than Donna remembered. More ordinary. The lawn needed mowing. The paint on the shutters was peeling. The whole place seemed to sag with neglect. Or maybe that was just how it looked through adult eyes. Through eyes that had seen Newport mansions and ocean views and a life she never imagined. You okay? Michael asked from the passenger seat. He was out of the wheelchair today, using a cane instead. His recovery had accelerated dramatically in the weeks since the rooftop, adrenaline and determination and love combining into something that his doctors called miraculous. No, Donna admitted, but I'm going to do it anyway. She got out of the car before she could change her mind. The walk to the front door felt like walking to her execution. Every step brought back memories. Good ones and bad ones and complicated ones that defied categorization. Her mother teaching her to ride a bike on this driveway. Her father carrying her on his shoulders after her first day of kindergarten. Linda's car parked in the spot that used to belong to her mother's old sedan. The front door opened before she could knock. Warren Ponce stood there, looking like he'd aged a decade in the months since she'd last seen him. His eyes were red-rimmed, his clothes were rumpled. He looked at Donna like she was a ghost. Donna. His voice cracked. You came. Michael wanted to talk to you. The words came out flatter than she intended. We both did. Warren's eyes moved to Michael, who had made his way up the path with his cane. His expression shifted. Recognition, respect, something like hope. Mr. Gavin, I've read about what happened at your party. I'm glad you're all right. Thank you. Michael's voice was formal but not unfriendly. May we come in? Warren stepped aside. The inside of the house was worse than the outside. Dishes piled in the sink, laundry scattered across furniture, the TV playing some children's show to an empty room. And in the corner, in a playpen, sat Harmony. The baby looked up when they entered. Her eyes, big and brown and heartbreakingly familiar, locked onto Donna immediately. Her voice was quieter than before, sadder, like she'd given up hope. Donna's heart cracked. Where's Linda? She heard herself ask. Warren's face crumpled. She left, 2 weeks ago, said she couldn't handle everything. The stress, the baby, me. Donna blinked. She left? Took her things and went to her mother's. Said she'd be back when she figured things out, but... Warren shrugged helplessly. I don't think she's coming back. Donna looked around the house again. The chaos, the neglect, the obviously struggling single father. And the baby. The baby who was still watching her with those sad, hopeful eyes. Harmony's voice was tiny, uncertain. Something broke inside Donna. Not in a bad way. In the way that ice breaks in spring. In the way that walls break when they're finally ready to let sunlight in. She walked to the playpen, knelt down, looked at the baby, really looked at her, for the first time without anger or resentment or fear. Hey, little one, she whispered. I'm sorry I went away. I'm sorry I left you. Harmony's face transformed, that sad uncertainty melting into pure, radiant joy. She reached up with both arms, straining toward Donna with everything she had. Donna picked her up. The moment that warm little body settled against her chest, Donna started crying. Harmony grabbed her braids as she always did, nestled into her shoulder, let out a little sigh of pure contentment. Like coming home. My sister, Donna whispered, the word finally fitting right in her mouth. My baby sister. Warren was crying too. Michael was smiling, and Harmony was babbling happily against Donna's shoulder, finally at peace. The conversation that followed was long and painful and necessary. Warren apologized. Really apologized. Not the half-hearted excuses he'd offered before, but a genuine reckoning with his failures. I was selfish, he said, tears streaming down his face. I was so lost after your mother died. So lonely. And when Linda showed interest, I grabbed onto her like a life raft without thinking about how it would hurt you. You married my best friend, Dad, 7 months after Mom's funeral. I know. God, I know. I've known it was wrong from the beginning. But I was so afraid of being alone that I couldn't see straight. He shook his head. And then I cut off your tuition. Let Linda convince me that you were fine, that you'd figure it out, that we needed the money for the baby. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd make it right eventually. But I never did. No, you didn't. I'm sorry, Donna. I'm so sorry. I know those words aren't enough. I know I can't undo what I did. But I need you to know that I love you. I've always loved you. I was just too weak and too stupid to show it properly. Donna sat with Harmony on her lap, the baby playing contentedly with her braids. She listened to her father's apologies, weighed them against years of hurt. And finally, slowly, she nodded. I'm not ready to forgive you, she said honestly. Maybe I never will be completely. What you did broke something in me that might never fully heal. Warren's face crumpled. But, Donna continued, I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of carrying this weight, and I don't want Harmony to grow up watching her father and sister hate each other. Sister? Warren's voice was barely a whisper. You said, my sister. Donna looked down at Harmony, who grinned up at her with gummy joy. She's my sister. I've been fighting that truth for months because accepting it felt like betraying Mom. But it doesn't. Loving Harmony doesn't mean I love Mom any less. It just means I have more room in my heart than I thought. Michael reached over and squeezed her hand, pride and love shining in his eyes. Mr. Ponce, he said, drawing Warren's attention, I have something to ask you. Warren straightened, clearly nervous. Ben, yes? I love your daughter, more than I've ever loved anyone in my life. She saved me when I didn't think I was worth saving. She challenged me, annoyed me, painted my nails hot pink while I slept, and made me want to live again. A small laugh escaped Warren despite his tears. I want to marry her, Michael continued. I'm going to marry her, whether you approve or not. But I would like your blessing. Not because Donna needs your permission, but because I believe in family. Even broken family. And I want to start this marriage by building bridges, not burning them. Warren looked at Donna, at Michael, at Harmony, happily ensconced in her big sister's arms. You have my blessing, he said, his voice thick with emotion. You have it completely. Please. He swallowed hard. Please take care of her. She deserves someone who sees how special she is. I know she does. Michael smiled. I see it every day. Donna was crying again. Happy tears this time. Healing tears. She wasn't ready to forgive Warren completely. That would take time, maybe years, maybe forever. But she was ready to try. And that was enough for now. 6 months later, on a perfect spring afternoon, Donna Ponce became Donna Gavin. The wedding was held on the rooftop terrace of the Gavin estate, the same terrace where Michael had almost died, now transformed into a celebration of life and love and second chances. White roses everywhere, soft music drifting on the ocean breeze. 200 guests gathered to witness what everyone was calling the love story of the decade. Donna wore her mother's wedding dress, altered to fit perfectly, and the sapphire pendant from Evelyn hung at her throat. Her braids were woven with tiny white flowers, still styled in her signature two buns with two braids framing her face. She'd never felt more beautiful in her life. And Michael was devastating. He stood at the altar. Stood. With only a slight lean on a sleek silver cane that looked more like a fashion statement than a medical device. His recovery had been remarkable, his determination to walk at his own wedding driving him through months of intensive physical therapy. When Donna appeared at the end of the aisle on Warren's arm, Michael started crying. He cried through the whole ceremony, through the vows, through the ring exchange, through the kiss that went on slightly too long and made all the guests laugh and cheer. And when the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Donna was crying too. "We did it," she whispered against his lips. "We actually did it." Was there ever any doubt? Honestly, so much doubt. Same. He kissed her again. But we made it anyway. The reception was perfect. The speeches were touching. Evelyn talking about getting her son back, Rita making everyone cry with her memories of Michael as a child, Zaire, who had flown in from her new job in Atlanta, roasting Donna mercilessly while simultaneously declaring her the best friend anyone could ever have. But Donna's favorite moment came during the first dance. Michael took her in his arms, standing, swaying, moving to the music in a way he'd thought he'd never move again. "I have something for you," he said quietly. "We already exchanged gifts this morning. This is different." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet bag. "Open it." Inside was a tiny bottle of nail polish, hot pink. "Flamingo Fantasy." Donna burst out laughing. "You didn't." "I did. For our anniversary. Every year." He grinned. "I had to have a custom batch made. Apparently the original shade was discontinued." "You're ridiculous. You love me anyway." "Yeah." She kissed him softly. "I really do." They danced until the song ended and another began. Until the sun set over the ocean in a blaze of orange and pink. Until their feet hurt and their cheeks ached from smiling. And then, as the stars came out over Newport, they slipped away from their own reception to stand at the edge of the terrace. Not at the railing. They both avoided that spot now, as by unspoken agreement, but close enough to see the moonlight painting silver paths across the water. "Happy?" Michael asked. "More than I ever thought possible." Donna leaned into him. "Thank you." "For what?" "For being dramatic enough to need a nurse. For being stubborn enough to fight me. For being brave enough to love me." She looked up at him. "For giving me a reason to believe in happy endings. That goes both ways, you know." He pressed a kiss to her forehead. "You painted my nails and changed my life. I'd say we're even." She laughed. "Nowhere close to even. But we've got the rest of our lives to figure it out." "The rest of our lives." He smiled. "I like the sound of that." And so, y'all, that's where our story ends. I'm not with a perfect fairy tale where everyone lives happily ever after and nothing ever goes wrong again, but with something better, something real. Two broken people who found each other at their lowest moments and built something beautiful together. Epilogue. 1 year later, Donna sat in the nursery of the Gavin estate, rocking slowly in the chair that had once belonged to Michael's grandmother. In her arms, a sleeping newborn made soft snuffling sounds against her chest. James Gavin, 3 weeks old, 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Perfect in every way. "You're staring again." Michael appeared in the doorway, moving silently on the cane he now used only occasionally. His recovery had plateaued. He would never run marathons or return to competitive fencing, but he walked steadily, independently, proudly. I can't help it," Donna whispered. "He's so beautiful. He looks like you. He has your eyes. Poor kid." Donna laughed softly, trying not to wake the baby. Michael crossed the room and knelt beside the rocking chair, carefully, slowly, but knelt, so he could see their son's face. "Hey, little man," he whispered. "Your mom's been hogging you all morning. When do I get a turn?" When you learn to lactate. Fair point. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching their son sleep. Outside, the spring sun painted the gardens in shades of green and gold. Rita said Harmony's coming to visit this weekend, Donna said. Warren's bringing her for the whole day. Good. She needs to meet her nephew properly. Things with Warren weren't perfect. Maybe they never would be. But they were better. Regular visits, and careful conversations, a slow rebuilding that might take years to complete. Linda had come back briefly, then left again. The divorce was finalized 2 months ago. Warren was getting therapy now, learning to be a single father, learning to be the man he should have been all along. Donna didn't know if she'd ever fully forgive him, but she was trying. And that was enough. I have something for you, Michael said. Again? You give me something every week. Because I love spoiling you. He pulled a small velvet bag from his pocket. Donna laughed before she even opened it. Inside was a tiny bottle of nail polish. Blue this time. Electric sapphire. For our first anniversary as parents, Michael explained. I thought we could start a new tradition. Every major milestone. A new color. Our son is going to grow up thinking his father having painted nails is completely normal. Good. Gender norms are overrated anyway. Donna leaned over and kissed him, careful not to squish the baby between them. I love you, Michael Gavin. I love you too, Donna Gavin. He smiled. Now, can I please hold my son before he's old enough to drive? She laughed and carefully transferred the sleeping baby into Michael's arms. He held their son with the same wonder he'd had since the moment James was born. Like he couldn't believe this was real. Like he'd never imagined he could have something this precious. They stayed like that as the morning light grew stronger. A family, finally complete. Built from broken pieces and stubborn hope and a love strong enough to survive anything. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you for being here. This journey with Donna and Michael has been incredible, and I couldn't have done it without all of you. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment from the whole series. Was it the nail polish scene? The first kiss? Michael standing up to save himself? I want to hear from you. And here's what I need you to do. Like this video if it made you feel something. Subscribe if you haven't already. We have so many more stories like this coming. Share this with someone who needs a good love story in their life. And comment happily ever after if you believe in second chances.